All right. Welcome back, everybody. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Today, we are debating conspiracy theorists and leftists on the topics. There is no U.S. Israel military merger. That's a lie. So if anybody disagrees with me on that topic, feel free to join my TikTok live. If you're watching on YouTube or X, just jump on over to TikTok, search my name, join my live, and request to come on up and have a conversation with me. We're also debating that Trump is a good president, that we should deport all illegal immigrants, and that there is no such thing as transgender. We're also debating that Islam is evil and it's incompatible with the United States of America. I seem to have misspelled the word compatible. I did kind of set this whole thing up in a rush. But anyway, let's have a conversation. We've got one person waiting for us. His name's Tom. I'm going to bring him up.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, are you an adult?
Yes.
How old?
2008.
2008 is not an adult, bro.
What?
2008 is not. How old are you?
18.
No way.
January. 18, that's an adult.
Okay, fine. I don't believe you.
I'm not.
Okay.
Not lying.
Fine. What's up?
Okay. I don't really think Trump is a good president, but that's just my opinion.
Okay. Why do you think he's not a good president?
Just like the prices, inflation's up, just the war, honestly. Just like he's not very good.
Oh, okay. What's your deal with the war? What's your problem with the war?
So in 2018, Obama made a peace deal, right? And then Trump destroyed it in 2018. He withdrawed it, and that's what started them from developing nuclear weapons. So actually, Trump started the war.
Trump didn't start the war. So you're right. There was a deal in place, but also the Iranian government literally sent an intelligence asset to kill the president of the United States. Biden's DOJ arrested him, convicted him, and he admitted that he was here to kill the president and other politicians. A country cannot get away with sending assets to the United States to kill our presidents and politicians. That is an act of war, and it should be met as an act of war. And so we waited for the supreme leader of Iran to come out from under the ground, and we killed him. And then we went to war, and we destroyed their navy, we destroyed their air force, we destroyed their intelligence headquarters, we destroyed their military headquarters, we destroyed virtually every police station in Tehran. I don't see a problem there. I actually think it would be a problem if we didn't act on that. Shows weakness.
Okay. And what do you think about like Trump as a whole?
I think he's a good president. I think that he has good policies in general. I think that we didn't need to deport illegal immigrants. I think that not deporting illegal immigrants is a massive national security vulnerability. I think that in general, he's pretty good on economics. He gives tax breaks predominantly to the poor and middle class. The 2018 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act disproportionately provided tax cuts.
Doesn't that provide more for the rich?
Nope, it doesn't.
More for which class?
The lower middle class. People making $15,000 to $50,000 a year receive the biggest tax breaks of anybody. People making over $1 million a year received an average tax break of 4%, and people making $15,000 to $50,000 a year received a tax break of roughly 26%.
Okay, and what about the inflation?
What about inflation? CPI is completely stable. It's down. I think it's down a little bit now. It was previously up a couple months ago, but it's down a little bit now. It's totally stable and within normal limits. It's not
pretty high
crashing.
though.
No, it's not. Let's see, what is it right now?
I think 3.5. That's pretty high.
Yeah, that was worse. That's not super high.
That was worse when Biden left office.
It actually dropped 4.2% in May. Yeah, it's not super high, nor is it out of the norm.
But it's higher than when Biden left office, right?
It might be. It was down from when Biden was in office for a little while. I could pull up the CPI graph right now.
And the high thing, it was just because of COVID. That was just not.
Well, it wasn't just because of COVID, but either way, like, yeah, so CPI Okay. So yeah, CPI is actually down currently from
Hmm.
4.2%. It went up in looks like January of 2026. It's down now, but it wasn't even touching like post-COVID peaks of the Biden administration.
But how do you like? You realize about going back to the Biden stuff. Why do you not think that's just because of COVID? It
Well,
was.
these are post-COVID peaks.
No, the 9%.
I'm not talking about the 9%. I'm talking about
Okay.
3.7% in September of 2023. That's a post-COVID peak.
Okay.
I'm talking about
And that's higher
March
than
of
it was now.
2024 at 3.5%. Yeah, it's higher than it is now. It's
Oh.
actually higher or roughly the same as it is now.
Well,
You
but
could
Trump said he loves the inflation. He said like, you know what I love? I love the inflation.
I've never heard that quote.
Do you want me to pull it up?
Sure.
Okay. Give me 1 sec. I'm sorry.
Hey man, also I think we've got some more people in the box. I honestly don't trust that you're 18. I'm sorry.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good. What's on your mind?
So we're starting with I'm 26. Start with top.
Okay, that's fine. I believe you. Do you want to talk
There
about one of these
there is
topics?
no Israeli there's no Israeli military merger. I mean, it's
Correct.
not really a merger. It's just a few like projects and one guy heading them up. It's not like a full
Exactly.
integration.
Exactly.
I don't really disagree. But
Exactly.
it is slightly more than it was a few years ago, which does
Not
kind of
really.
bother me.
I mean, a little, maybe a little. We're working on different projects. So, like
Yeah.
in 2022 and 2023, I wouldn't say that it's more. It's definitely not more. Like in the 2021 National Defense Appropriations Act, we mentioned Israel over 100 times. In the 2024 National Defense Appropriations Act, we mentioned Israel over 100 times. In this NDAA, we mentioned Israel 24 times. So significantly less than other NDAAs. There are some new things in this NDAA that we're going to work with
Yeah,
Israel
they're
on,
appointing a
but
person to
it's not
appoint all of them.
yeah, it's not because we're just expanding what we're doing with Israel. It's because like in the past we worked on like timely projects like David Sling or the Iron Dome or like specific operations, whatever. You get what I'm saying? Like things that aren't
Yeah.
really relevant anymore.
Yeah, I guess. Well, so do you agree with our like support for Israel as an idea, as a principle we have in this country?
As a principle, I agree with supporting them as
Yeah,
an ally.
Okay. Why is that?
Why do I support Israel as an ally?
Like what is supporting Israel as an ally help us as Americans?
Yeah, sure. I could give you literally dozens of reasons. So for one, Israel votes with us in UN contested votes more than any other country on the planet. That includes all of our purported allies, France, Canada, the UK, etc. They also battle test our weapons, which is extremely important in research and development because you don't know if your weapon actually works unless you test it.
They test those weapons.
Hold up. They were the first to battle test the F-35 Lightning II. They were the first to battle test trophy systems. They were the first to battle test the F-15, and they were the first to test dozens of other planes and weapons in between. So that's a huge benefit to us. They've also stopped multiple terrorist attacks against, for example, in 2011, our diplomatic missions in Europe. They stopped an ISIS plot to smuggle bombs disguised as laptops on American airliners. Lots of their technology ends up getting licensed by American companies. Waze and Google Maps invented in Israel. It was Waze, then Google Maps bought it. They licensed the technology. That's how Google Maps works. Tesla, for example, or any car that has any kind of autonomous or self-driving capability, even like lane assist. It all comes from something called Mobileye, which was invented by Israel and then licensed out by Intel and then licensed out to all the car companies. I mean, there's so many. The Leviathan and Tamar oil fields, Israel found these massive oil fields off their coast in their national waters, and they literally just called up an American LNG company to come harvest it, and we sold the oil to Arab countries and strengthened our relationships with them and strengthened Israel's relationship with them. Great. We coordinate with counterterrorism operations. They give us access to all of their battlefield and tactical data that helps us better fight asymmetric war, which is what we're usually engaged in, all the way back to Vietnam and honestly World War II as well. In Japan, they participated in a lot of sort of asymmetric type war. But then in Vietnam, it was very much asymmetric. Afghanistan, Iraq, the Gulf War, all asymmetric. Very important.
Okay, so but do you think that's worth the money? Do you disagree with the ICC? Do you think that any of these weapon tests are on war crimes?
No, I don't. Well, hold on.
Gaza?
These are two separate things that you're asking me about. You're asking me about.
Wait, well, you're saying
pause.
just
Real quick. Hold up. They're not testing them on civilians. Israel, the casualty count for this war is extremely low compared to all other modern armed conflicts. If you're talking about the Gaza war, for example. But let's just real quick talk about, you asked me if I think it's worth the aid money. I personally do think it's worth the aid money, but that doesn't matter because what this NDAA does, which is interesting, is it doesn't allocate any money to Israel. All the previous ones do. So the NDAA 2025, fiscal year 2024, fiscal year 2023, 22, 21, they all allocate money to Israel. This one doesn't. And Benjamin Netanyahu himself has talked about drawing down aid to Israel from the United States. He ended civilian aid in the 1990s, and he wants to end civilian aid now. And now there's a plan to draw down aid and completely eliminate it. And we're doing it. There's no aid allocated in this bill. There has been in previous national defense appropriations acts.
I mean, yeah, I guess I just like the ICC. Even if there's even a 1% chance that they're actually a war criminal, don't you think that 1% chance is worth not doing that?
Not doing what? No, because I know they're not. What war crime have they violated?
Collective punishment by sieging the whole entire Gaza Strip.
Well, the whole entire Gaza Strip is not sieged.
They don't let food in. They don't let.
It's totally false. I've been to the Gaza Strip during the war. I went in August, and I literally went and saw the food for myself. They allow hundreds of trucks across the border every single day. Are
you serious, man?
I'm absolutely serious. They let hundreds of food trucks across the border every single day. Hundreds. Yes. You can go to UNRWA's. Hold up. Pause. So there is an organization. Hold up, because it's their border. It's their border with Gaza. So if something wants to cross it, obviously they have authorization or authority over their own border, obviously, in the same way that we have authority over our own border.
Why do they have authority over their border?
Second of all, hundreds of trucks every single day. You can go to the UNRWA website and view it. UNRWA admits this. UNRWA is the UN agency. It's the only UN agency in the world dedicated to a specific group of refugees, the Palestinians. It's mostly run by Palestinians. Okay. And even they admit that Israel allows hundreds of trucks across the border every single day. Egypt doesn't let hundreds of trucks across the border every single day, and they're Arabs. Okay. Israel not only allows the trucks across the border, the army coordinates with Palestinian workers on the other side to distribute the food with the UN.
Okay, so you think the ICC is just making stuff up?
Yeah, I do. And I also think that by the way, I think international law is a joke.
I agree with you there. Actually, it's bullshit. But it was like coordinated by the IDF. Weren't you shown what they wanted you to see?
Oh, it was coordinated. It was coordinated by a group of journalists, and I went in. I obviously had to have an escort by the military because I'm crossing into a warring border.
Exactly. And you don't think that they made sure you saw like the good part of it? It's a curated visit by.
Well, they obviously aren't going to take me into a war zone where people are getting killed, because that would be a liability issue. But they took me to the UN humanitarian zone, which is not their property, and it's not it's not under their control. And they dropped me off, and they said, "Okay, do whatever you want." They had one liaison, one guy who's like a PR person, stand in the middle, and they said, "If you'd like to interview this guy, feel free to talk to him. If not, that's fine. You're free to walk around here. You can open any of the boxes you want and make sure there's actually food in them. Whatever you want to do, you can do it here at this facility." So I walked around the UN facility that is owned and operated by the United Nations, and I viewed the food.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I'm sure that some people are still getting fed, but there's still not people starving. That's fine. If you think that Israel is really letting in all the food and supplies they need there,
I've seen it.
Did you know that under Biden and Trump, we sent a guy over there for logistics, and he came back because it wasn't a logistics issue. They were just lying. Like, do you know about dual use? Like, they won't let tents in the Gaza because they could be used for
That's
terrorists and
totally
the
not
Taliban.
true. There are absolutely tents in Gaza. You can go to the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, for example. So
That's
there's
not what I said. They don't
two
let
organizations. You said that there are people starving, and you're right. There are people starving. There are two separate organizations, primary organizations that distribute or distributed food in the Gaza Strip. There's the United Nations, which sucks at it, and there's the GHF, which is largely run by American contractors. They actually set up tents at the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation so that Gazans can come eat food and they can actually just live there. So obviously that debunks your whole tent thing because there's tents there. Brooke Goldstein, who's a reporter, went to the GHF. You said they weren't allowing tents in. Went to the GHF and she literally interviewed Palestinians there, and they said, "We love Trump. We're so happy. We get to eat food. If we leave here, Hamas will kill us." These are Palestinian citizens that live in Gaza, that live in the Gaza Strip. So the UN reports that 96% of all of their food shipments get intercepted by either Hamas or armed gangs or roving mobs of hungry people, and it never actually makes it to its destination. So people do starve in Gaza. There's enough food at any given time inside the Strip to feed every single Gazan. But the problem is that the UN, what happens is the organizations that supply the UN's food they truck in the food across the Israeli border, usually Kerem Shalom, into the UN, one of the UN sites. They drop off the food on pallets. It sits inside a fenced area. Then the UN brings their own trucks in. They pick up the food, put it on their trucks, and they transport it to the Palestinians in the cities that they live in. So if I'm taking food to Jabalia and my food gets intercepted in Gaza City, it never made it to Jabalia, and all of the people in Jabalia went starving, and the criminals in Gaza City ate. If vice versa, I am trying to transport food from the UN site to Gaza City, and it gets intercepted in Rafah. The criminals in Rafah eat, and the people in Gaza City don't. Or Hamas steals it, and then they sell it to the people in Gaza City, and they have to pay money for it. All of this food that Israel allows across the border, it's all already paid for by NGOs. It's supposed to be free.
But so you said Israel doesn't control that land, but then you also say Israel only allows certain stuff. So they do control it. We agree with that, right?
They control the border for sure.
If they don't control the Gaza Strip, then why do only they allow the things in there?
Well, hold up. They don't. There's two entities that control the border with Gaza. One of them is Israel, and one of them is Egypt. Why is that? Because they share a border. There's one country that controls the border between, and leaving the United States and entering Canada. That's the United States, because we're the only country that shares a border with Canada.
Okay, no, we can get past this because I just believe the ICC and the Criminal Court, and you believe Netanyahu. That's fine. That's
No, I don't. I'm not believing Netanyahu. I'm believing the facts, the independent reporting in my own eyes, because I went and saw it. And I'm also believing UNRWA, which is, by the way, an organization that hates Israel. They themselves report that Israel allows hundreds of trucks to cross the border every single day.
Hundreds of trucks isn't enough, though.
Hundreds of trucks. Up to 500 a day. There is enough tonnage of food at any given moment inside of the Gaza Strip to feed every single Gazan. When I went there, the UN site had 700 tons, which is enough to feed 2.1 million people. And hundreds more trucks cross every single day.
Then why did the ICC put the warrant out for his arrest? What was that?
Because they're corrupt politicians that work for what's trying to be a pseudo-global government. They don't like Israel.
Netanyahu is not corrupt? Okay. I mean, that's fine. We
all countries are a part of the UN, or at least most countries are a part of the UN, but international law is stupid, illegitimate, and run by flawed politicians.
I agree with you there.
Big surprise that they do shit that's not true.
Okay, we just disagree with that. That's fine. I disagree with the fact we're sending money over there anyway. Like, if we just didn't send any money over there,
we're ending the aid to Israel. That's literally the whole point of this NDAA. Or Section 219 of it, at least.
I highly doubt it. We'll see. Okay, and you say Trump is a good president. Okay, well, wait. I guess for the economy itself, you said that this is average inflation. It's a little bit above average. It's anything above 2% is going to be a little bad, according to the Fed and everybody. So he didn't really get that. And did you like his tariffs? And those are good ideas.
I think to some degree, yeah.
Okay, and his healthcare plan. He didn't do anything for that.
He didn't have a healthcare plan.
That's exactly. I mean,
so what's your point?
Have a healthcare plan?
What's your point?
I mean,
Is every president obligated to change the healthcare system completely and overhaul it?
No, but he said he had a concept of the plan, and he never did anything.
Okay, because he's been focused on other things, obviously.
Okay, yeah, that's
It's
fine. I
not.
agree
It's
with you
not
there.
what
I
he
think he's
ran
just
on.
not
He was
focused.
asked about it, and he said he has concepts of a plan, but it's not what he ran on.
Okay, well,
He ran on mass deportations, and he is doing that.
oh yeah, I agree with you there. He's doing that. Do you think he's doing it morally,
Yeah,
ethically?
it's epic.
Okay, my goodness. And Islam is evil and incompatible with America.
Correct.
Why is that? And,
Um,
and Christianity is compatible with America, right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure, it is. Yeah. So section or
Rebel on
chapter
Judeo-Christian
chapter
values.
9, verse 5 of the Quran says to, when the sacred months have passed, kill infidels wherever you find them, lay for each an ambush, and siege them. It then says in 9:30 to kill all Christians and Jews. In their scriptures, the hadiths, it says when the day of judgment comes, or the day of judgment will not come about until the Muslims fight the Jews, killing the Jews. When the Jews hide behind stones and trees, the stones and trees will say, "O Muslims, O Abdullah, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him." Chapter 98, verse 6 says that Christians are the worst of created beings. Let's see. 434 in the Quran says that if you fear disobedience on the part of your woman, you are to forsake her, admonish her in bed, and strike her. We don't hit women in the United States. It's illegal. Yeah, I mean, those are just a couple of reasons. Another good one is that it's literally a pedophile worshiping religion. The Prophet Muhammad was a pedophile, according to the Hadiths, which is, again, second to the Quran. Sahih al-Bukhari 5134, it literally says, narrated by Aisha, the child bride of Muhammad herself. She says, I was 6 at the age of my marriage, and I was 9 at the age of my consummation, meaning he married her at 6 years old and had sex with her at 9. Then the Quran goes on to say, "Oh, you Muhammad are of good moral character." It says to do what the Prophet does and abstain from what he abstains from. It's a religion that calls for everybody to rape children. I think that's bad. And it also perfectly explains why child rape is legal in almost every single Arab country, with the exception of very few like Jordan, which even has some pretty sweeping exceptions. In Yemen, the legal age of marriage is literally zero.
Like the worst. If you got like the worst verses from the Hebrew Bible,
There's nothing in the Hebrew Bible that tells you to rape children. There's nothing in the Hebrew Bible that tells you to kill anyone who's not a Jew or a Christian.
so that's okay. Do you think all Christians want to rape people like they do in Deuteronomy right there?
I didn't hear what you said because you were out of the app. You were out of the app. I can't hear what you say when you're out of the app. You have to be in the app.
Deuteronomy 21, 10 through 14.
It
says if you win a war, you can take all the women captive.
Doesn't say that.
Just have them as your wife.
Doesn't say that. It says that virgin women. It says that virgin women, who are like uncorrupted, can be brought into the tribe. It doesn't say you can take them as a sex slave, which is what everybody misrepresents it to be. It says that you accept them into the tribe because they're innocent and not part of the conflict.
And you don't think you're misrepresenting anything in the Quran there?
I don't. I absolutely don't. It's in plain text. I've literally began learning Arabic just so that I can ensure.
All of your views are based on you being perfectly correct and understanding, and everyone else.
No. I'm open. I'm open to having my mind change. You just have to make an argument.
Thinking Islam is any more evil than either just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, again, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, none of these religions say to kill anyone who's not a Christian, a Jew, a Buddhist, or a Hindu. Islam does say that. And it's also, by the way, it says it repeatedly. Again, in the hadiths. You know what's even worse, too, is like Muhammad, literally in the Quran, in the hadiths, Sahih Muslims and Sahih al-Bukhari, literally, he goes home to home on Friday looking for people who aren't at prayer in the mosque and then burns their house with them inside of it because they didn't go to Friday prayer.
I mean, God burned those people and
he's not God. He's not God. He's God's messenger. He went home to home burning people alive because they didn't pray on Friday. Are you really going to justify that in people who still worship him? A pedophile who burned people alive in their house for not going and praying to a God that he made up?
I think you're just... You can do this with any religion, any religion's history, man.
No, okay, do it. Then do it. Then do it. You can't. There's nothing like this in Christianity. There's nothing like this in Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism. I don't know what else. Confucianism.
We'll get past the religious stuff. It's fine. And so, do you think he's good for the economy? Like affordability? Do you think that crisis is real?
Do I
Like, why do
think
you think like Zoran Mondani won in New York? Do you think that's a reaction to something real? Or do you think they're just delusional?
well, it depends on what you mean by the affordability crisis.
Like rent going up, housing going up, healthcare going up? Is everything
Yeah,
being more expensive since the 70s?
prices are going up for sure, but wage growth is also up. So here's the problem: is I think that things are expensive, yeah, but I don't think it's a crisis in that people can't afford it. It might be a little uncomfortable, but you can absolutely afford it. People aren't going homeless. People aren't going homeless in the United States because they don't have money. People are going homeless in the United States because they do drugs. Okay, that's the number one leading
Dude,
cause of
are you
homelessness in the United States. Absolutely, I literally spent an entire week undercover on Skid Row in Los Angeles posing as a homeless person. They are there because they're on drugs. In Seattle, we built a brand new homeless shelter for homeless people in Seattle. And what they do, they were assigned rooms inside the homeless shelter, and then they decided to sleep on the floor because you can't smoke crack inside the shelter. They're drug addicts.
Okay, well,
that's why they're
so
homeless.
if it's all about personal decisions, then why is there a swell for like a socialist candidates like this? What is their response to?
Because people feel bad and they want to feel
failings.
righteous. They see homeless people, they feel bad, and instead of helping them, they want to feel righteous. I went and did a food drive in Skid Row. I bought $500 worth of pizzas and I handed them out on Skid Row after my investigation. For free, no catch. Here's the problem: is Skid Row is full of people who are handing out free shit, but they're all exploiting those people, harvesting their information, taking their IDs, getting their social security numbers, so that they can go take out loans in their name, or they can take out credit cards in their name, or they can, whatever, steal their identity. I went and handed out pizza to them because I actually want people to do better. But the problem is these people are all drug addicts. They'll do anything for a cigarette. I literally had a guy give me his social security number for a cigarette. I'm not even kidding. I went up to him and asked him for information. I said, do you know where I can find these people that are exploiting homeless people? And he said, I don't know anything about that, but if you give me the cigarette, I'll give you my serial number. And I said, your serial number? And he started reading his social security number. I shit you not.
Okay, that's fine. I'm glad you're doing that stuff, man. But like a house is 6 times median wage. It was 3 times median wage 30 years ago. Do you think that's an issue?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think we probably agree on this. I think one of the main things we need to do is prevent like private equity groups from buying up all the single family homes.
Well, yeah, I agree with you
And
there.
we
But
also need to use
wage growth
space.
is still outpaced by inflation.
Huh?
Wage growth is still being outpaced by inflation
Okay, based on what? Can you show me a source on that?
since like the 70s, man. Just in general.
Okay, are you gonna give me a source?
Google the Great Decoupling. Yes, Google the Great Decoupling. Look at productivity versus wages from 1945 to now. Our country makes more and more
You're
stuff.
saying inflation versus wages.
No, productivity, how much the country makes. We don't share in profits anymore. That's why
Wait, what point are you?
That's why Zoran Mondani is winning.
What point are you making with this?
Because Zoran and all these candidates on the left, they would never win forever ago, and then they're winning now because affordability is worse. And you seem to just be
Wait, but the solution to like high prices is not to drain the treasury and give a bunch of people free stuff. That's going to lower productivity, and it's also going to drain the treasury.
No, I just want the tax system we used to have.
You want what?
For like stock buybacks. The tax system we used to have for stock buybacks and all the bullshit we have now. From 1945 to 1972, this country had a really good tax system, you can tell. But and it's good. Like, why is the approval rating go down so much? If you think he's a good president, why does everyone like not agree with you no more?
Why is everybody? Well, because most people are lied to for a lot of their rights because they're Israel deranged, and for the left, I mean, they've never liked Trump, so. I actually think that the people who are now anti-MAGA on the right, like the super far righters, they're not actually far right. I think those people are largely being manipulated by the left. They've adopted all of the left's pet issues.
What are the left's pet issues to you?
One of them is flock cameras. Another one is Israel. No, literally nobody cared about Israel until October 7th, 2023. I've been talking about Israel since 2020. Nobody else was talking about it. I literally struggled to find people to have conversations about Israel with.
Dude, ego is so big, man.
How is my ego
You
so
genuinely
big?
think you're because you keep saying these like crazy.
Nobody cared about it. I'm telling you, nobody cared about it. Nobody cared about Israel until
People cared about
2023.
Israel, man.
No, they didn't.
I've known
Not,
Israel for a long
not
time.
until October 7th, 2023. There was a very small faction of people, both on the right and the left,
Do
who
you
talked
think
about
Israel should
Israel.
be sanctioned for the settlers in the West Bank and the
Why would they be
all the
sanctioned for
crazy stuff
that?
they did?
The settlers are literally on their own territory. Why would they be sanctioned for that?
Dude, do you think that what happened in 1948 was bad? Do you think that was ethically wrong?
Yeah, by the Arabs, correct. Yeah.
Oh my God, you're just racist.
How am I racist? Wait, please.
Do you
I
think
want
Jews-
to
do you-
explain to me. How am I racist? Please, just let's go
Okay,
down
why
this.
do you think the why do you? Yeah, I would love to. Why do you? So you don't think Zionism is racist?
What is Zionism? Can you tell me that?
It's the belief that there needs to be a state that is Jewish and ethnically Jewish and it keeps
Nope.
Jewish people.
No, it's the belief that Jews have a homeland in Israel. That's what it is.
Okay, and that homeland, and where is that homeland? If that homeland is full of other people,
Yeah, it's in
why
Israel.
that is racist.
Yeah, it's in Israel. So is it racist to believe that the Jews have a right to their ancestral homeland? Now, I'm not even saying I don't support. I don't listen. Here's the thing. Here's the problem too: is I don't support historic claims to land. I don't think that Jews have a right to Israel because they used to live there a long time ago. I think that Jews have a right to live there because they did live there, and then there was a war and they won it.
Okay, but even the West Bank, those are past the 1967 borders. Those are illegal settlements.
Sorry, say again. So go back. What did you say?
The West Bank settlements are past the 1967 borders.
Okay.
It's
Wait, no, they're
internationally
not.
recognized
They're
occupied
absolutely not past the 1967 borders. They're within the 19. Everything in the West Bank is within 1967 borders. The entire West Bank was surrendered to Israel in 1967.
It's still occupied, though. It's still legally occupied.
Wait, who is it occupied from?
Occupation?
Pause 1 second. Who is it occupied from?
Israel is occupying it from the Palestinians.
When did the Palestinians have sovereignty over that land?
Before 1948.
No, they absolutely did not. The British were in control before 1948. There was absolutely not Palestinian sovereignty there.
If you just don't know enough.
They didn't functionally have control.
They ethnically cleansed 900,000 people.
Absolutely, they did not. Not even the highest estimates say 900,000. There was no ethnic cleansing. There was a war. Yeah, most say 600,000, but there absolutely was not an intentional ethnic cleansing. There were a few towns that were forcefully evacuated because they were turned into military bases. Only a couple dozens. This is the historical consensus. Most people that fled the region in 1948 fled on their own volition due to the flail of war.
And why was that war started, man?
That war was started because Arabs attacked them.
Oh my God. Okay.
Wait, hold up. You're accusing me of not knowing anything. What happened in 1948? You go ahead and tell me how the war started.
They had the thing from, what's it called? The mandate or whatever from the British, and then they came over there and they forcibly removed 600,000 people from their homes.
Completely wrong. In 1947, somebody came home. His name was Grand Mufti Haj Amin al-Husseini. He's the former Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, expelled in the 1920s due to a British arrest warrant for terrorism. When he left the region, he went to fascist Italy. When fascist Italy wasn't working out for him, he went to fascist Germany, and he met Heinrich Himmler, the architect of the Holocaust, and Adolf Hitler. There is a photo of him literally meeting with Adolf Hitler. He then joined the Waffen-SS as an agent that rounded up Jews and killed them. And then after the war ended, he went back. He recruited Muslims that lived in the Balkans to join the SS, the Nazi regime. He then came back afterwards and he recruited all of the people that lived in villages around the Levant, people who otherwise didn't care about national politics. They saw it as a plaything of people in the big cities like the Khalidis and the Husseinis, of which this guy is one. Okay, the Ayan, the elites. They care about politics. They live in the cities. He came and he radicalized these people against the Jews after working for the Nazis for several years, and they started a civil war in 1947. The Haganah, which is the precursor to the IDF, remained completely defensive until May of 1948 when the British pulled out. Then the Transjordanian Arab Legion joined the war, a formal military that resided in Jordan, and the new borders happened after the war ended. So the West Bank went to Jordan, the Gaza Strip went to Egypt, and everything else was Israeli. Okay, in 1967, the new armistice borders, after Jordan got their ass whooped again, included the West Bank and Israel.
Okay, I got you. So before I leave, this guy just said that Israel in 1947 defensively forced hundreds of thousands of people out of their homes. Okay, man.
No, there was no
Okay,
force.
that's
They
a good
fled.
opinion.
Most people fled on their own volition, and also Arab leaders literally told them, "Leave the region. We're gonna win the war real quick, and then you can come back." And they should have won the war. Really, they had every Arab country in the surrounding area, up to 6 countries, fighting for them against Israel. It was literally a civil war from within, the Arabs that lived in the region fighting the Jews, and then it was also every country that surrounded them fighting. And a bunch of Holocaust survivors. They should have won by all accounts, but they didn't. They literally they sieged every road in Israel that led to Jerusalem. They sieged the city of Jerusalem and starved out the Jewish population. They shelled the oldest synagogue in the old city of Jerusalem and destroyed it, melted it to the ground. By all accounts, they should have won, but they didn't. And then in 1967, they tried it once more with Egypt on their side this time. They lost again. Again, they lost.
Hey, just because you lose a war that's still racist, man.
How is it racist? Wait. How is somebody else starting a war against you and you winning racist?
Okay, if I go into your house and kick you out of your house and you punch me,
That's not what happened.
to.
That's not what happened.
That is what happened.
So tell me what existed. So we've established that there wasn't a Palestinian state before 1948. It was British rule. What was before British rule? Was there a Palestinian state then?
It's not a Palestinian state. It was under the Ottoman Empire. But
Correct.
They were still allowed to live there. They were still allowed to live there, man.
Correct. And were there Jews living there at that time?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, and so what happened when the Ottoman Empire collapsed?
Then fucking the British came over and now the
No. Well, before
1947.
before the British came over, the state ceased to exist. So now there's this chunk of land with 2 people who both want their own country. Pause. There's now a chunk of land with 2 separate people who want their own country, and there's no state.
Okay, but that chunk of land, if you say 2 separate people, one of those people are already living there, man.
Both groups were already living there.
Dude, are you? Oh my God. Okay.
There had been
You don't-
Jews living there for thousands of years, and there were also lots of Jews that had been living there for hundreds of years.
Yes, and there was no civil war until the UN partition plan happened, and they ethnically
Totally
cleansed
not
100,000
true.
people out of
Totally
their
not
home.
true. There were the Jerusalem riots in the early 1920s. There were the Arab riots of 1936 that caused the British to issue white papers.
Between 1947 and 1948, 100 to 200,000 Palestinians were forced out of their homes.
Completely false. Where are you reading that from? Read a book. You should read a book.
There's
I would
no
recommend.
point in
I would.
talking
I
to
would
you.
recommend the Palestinian refugee problem revisited by Benny Morris. It's a very good and very comprehensive
got it.
breakdown of what happened.
If you were actually in Israel, that was an IDF created thing. They killed 250 journalists.
Based on
They're evil.
How do you know that? Because
They're
I know
journalists.
I know of several journalists, some that were working for AP and CNN, that were literally in Israel on October 7th killing people.
No, oh my God, dude, you believe all this stuff?
I've seen the photos. I've seen the videos of them in Israel on October 7th.
You think all 250 of those journalists?
I don't think
Hamas
necessarily
fighters?
all of them were Hamas fighters, but unfortunately, when you're a reporter in war, you're out there knowing that you might die because you're in a fucking battlefield.
They have nowhere to go. It's an open air prison.
It's not an.
Where are they gonna go?
If it's an open,
Where-
if it's an open air prison, okay. Why is it that before October 7th, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were crossing the border every single day and going into Israel and working? It still happens, by the way, in all of the other Palestinian territories. So in the West Bank, Palestinians still cross the border from places like Ramallah and Bethlehem, and they go and work in Israel.
They go through 4 checkpoints. They have different colored license plates.
4
They can't drive on the
checkpoints.
Same roads.
Well, hold up. They
Dude,
have
it's
different
an
colored. They have
apartheid state,
different.
bro.
They have different colored license plates because they're from different governments. So people with
No,
one,
that's not true. That is
it
not true.
absolutely
Arabs
is true.
have-
The Palestinian
you just
Authority,
don't know, dude.
the Palestinian Authority has been the governing agency of the Palestinian territory since 1994.
Oh, well, I thought that was Israel's territory, man.
Area C is Israel's territory. Area A and B are under the administrative control of the Palestinian Authority. since 1994, the Oslo Accords.
Oh, okay. But Area C is still in the West Bank, man. It's still occupied by Israel.
Hold up. It's in the West Bank, but it's not part of the territory that was given to the Palestinians. Israel, out of the goodness of their own heart, gave the territories A and B to the Palestinians in 1994.
The goodness of Israel's own.
Yes, to their great naivety. To their great naivety, they never should have given them that territory, but they did.
So if you have an idea and a belief like Zionism that leads to ethnic cleansing of people, that idea is racist, bro. Why do you think there's
wait? What is ethnic cleansing?
Forcibly removing people.
Okay, so cite me a scholarly and historic source that indicates hundreds of thousands of people, 600,000 people, were forcefully removed based on their race. And also, here's the other thing. There were millions of Arabs still in Israel when they declared independence, and they immediately made those people citizens of Israel that could vote in elections. Why would they do that if they wanted to ethnically cleanse Palestinians? Why did they make all those Arab citizens of the United States? To this day, almost a quarter of Israel's population, their citizens, are Arabs. They sit on the Supreme Court. They sit in the Israeli Congress. How is that possible? If their goal is to just ethnically cleanse Arabs, they hate them so much. Why are they citizens of their country?
You don't think Israel's trying to ethnically cleanse people in Gaza?
Definitely not.
Again, if
they don't want
Gaza.
Why would they do that? They don't want Gaza. They want them in Gaza. No, they don't want Gaza.
Yeah, they don't want the land of Gaza. Then what are they doing?
Definitely not. In 2005, the Gaza Strip belonged to Israel. They literally handed it over to the Palestinians, gave it to them, and evacuated. They forcefully removed all of the Jews in the Gaza Strip out and made them dig up their dead family members so that even their bodies wouldn't be in Gaza. Why would they want the territory? Well, in that case, I don't think it was out of the goodness of their heart. I think in that case, it was because there were too many terrorist attacks in the Gaza Strip and they didn't want to deal with it.
So if Gaza is controlled by Gazans, why can no one go there on a boat? Even Israel even controls the border on the water too.
Because it's run by a terrorist. Yeah, because it's run by a terrorist organization.
Oh, now it's a terrorist organization who have to be controlled.
Hold up, it is a terrorist organization. Do you deny that Hamas is a terrorist organization?
Of course not.
You don't think that
Terrorism is subjective.
Hold up. You don't think that Hamas is a terrorist organization. I just want to make sure I got that right.
Of course I think Hamas is a terrorist organization.
Great. Who's the government of the Gaza Strip? Who's the government of the Gaza Strip?
Hamas.
Okay, so you just act like I was ridiculously insane for insinuating that a terrorist organization was the government of the Gaza Strip, and then you just said that Hamas is a terrorist organization and they're the government of the Gaza Strip. So which is it?
They're both, man. Israel's a terrorist organization in the government of Israel. Like what?
Okay, how are they a terrorist organization?
Because they
prove to me that they deliberately kill civilians.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Dude, Instead of laughing, why don't you make an argument? Gallant
on October 8th said Palestinians are animals and we will treat them as such.
The law did not say that. Name me the law. Name me the law that said that.
No, Gallant, the defense minister.
He didn't say that. You're taking it out of context.
Okay.
He was speaking in Hebrew.
I'm not.
He was speaking in Hebrew, and it was mistranslated and cut off. He said Hamas are animals, and they must be destroyed.
No, you're wrong, man.
I'm definitely not wrong. Literally Google it. He never said that all Palestinians are animals.
So,
Literally, Palestinians live in Israel. Like, people who identify as Palestinian and hold Palestinian citizenship live in East Jerusalem, which is Israeli territory. They're literally, and also, by the way, those Palestinians are allowed to vote in elections. They abstain and they choose not to. Israel, every single year, offers them citizenship. They say, become a citizen of Israel. But they don't, because the Palestinians tell them, or the Palestinian government tells them, if you become an Israeli citizen, you cannot hold Palestinian citizenship anymore, and you will not be allowed into Palestinian territories. If you ever try to go into a Palestinian territory in the West Bank, there are giant red signs that say, no Israelis allowed inside.
Okay, man. I believe the International Criminal Court, and you believe the
You said you don't even like the International Criminal Court. You literally said you don't even like them.
Well,
and you also said you think they're illegitimate.
No, I didn't say. You said that international law is fake, and I agreed with you there.
Okay, so why are you appealing to the ICC then?
It doesn't. Well, because it's fake in that they don't have any power, and you think, well,
They don't have any power. They literally have zero power. They have an active arrest warrant. They have an arrest warrant out for Bibi Netanyahu, and they haven't been able to arrest him in 3 years. They have no authority at all. They have no authority. They have no enforcement mechanism. They're completely illegitimate. And you're right. That doesn't mean they're wrong, but you failed to prove that they're right.
Okay, man. If you think that they have not been purposely constricting food and resources into Gaza,
they have proof to me that they have been. Because all sources, including Palestinian sources, disagree with you. If Israel was restricting food and not allowing any food into the Gaza Strip for the past several years, since October 7th, 2023, every single person in the Gaza Strip would be dead because there'd be no food, right?
I know. I said
there'd be 2.1 million dead people, but there's not.
That's just not. Wait, no, I never said they didn't let anything, and I said they're restricting.
Okay, how are they restricting it?
Because they don't allow anything in, because they say it's all dual use.
Oh, but they don't allow anything in now, so there'd be 2.1 million people dead, but there's not. Man. So you just like, do they allow food in or not? Because you just said they didn't, then they do, then they didn't.
No, I said they restricted the food and don't allow food in. That's what they're doing.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Say again.
They don't allow enough food into Gaza Strip, and they're starving those people.
Okay, so again, if they're starving those people, there'd be 2.1 million dead people, and there's not. Starving means to lack food to the point of death. That's what starving is.
Okay, man. Okay. If you really don't think Israel is a evil country, then that's fine, man. Good for you.
Okay. All right, man. Well, have a good day, and I appreciate you coming up. I think this is the person I tried to bring up earlier. Oh, didn't work. All right. Let's see who's next. Oh, wait, did somebody come up? Oh, there you are. Hey, how's it going?
Oh.
Hi. Oh, wait, are you the person earlier?
I don't know why.
You're the person who was arguing about transgender in the Israeli military. I really don't give a shit. I want to keep it to the topics that are above me, guys. We've gone through the whole Israel thing. Let's talk about something that's actually relevant. Tom, you're underage. You're not coming up. Especially, I want to have a conversation about this military merger.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going? Do you disagree with any of the prompts?
Yeah.
Okay, which one?
So you're saying, so where it says Trump is a good president, you're saying that he's not?
I think you're cutting out a little bit.
Sorry. The Trump is a good president one? Sorry, wait, 1 second. I can fix it. 1 second.
Okay, I'll give you 10 seconds. All right, he left. All right. Hi, how's it going?
Good. Hey, I'm not opposition. I just wanted to come up and ask you if you can explain that whatever that merger with that bill was. I'd really appreciate that because there's so much propaganda against Israel that it's just and I really respect you. I think you're doing a great job, Cam. Thanks so much for
appreciate it.
I'm going to drop in this one, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. Yeah, sure. I can do that real quick. So there's no U.S. Israel military merger. What this bill does is establish a person within the U.S. government, an executively appointed individual that will coordinate U.S.-Israel collaboration. So co-production, weapons development, and intelligence sharing. These are all things that we've done in the past. I actually went back through the old NDAAs from 2020 to 2026, and there is the exact same stuff. So most of what's in this one, there are a couple things that are new, but that's not because we're adding new things that we're collaborating on. It's because, like, in the past, things that have been relevant have been things like the Iron Dome, David's Sling, or specific timely operations. Now there's new things that we're working on, like AI is a big thing that we're working on now, that we're collaborating with them on, which wasn't super relevant in the past because it didn't exist really, at least not in the way that it does now. So it used the exact same language. Like the 2021 NDAA literally uses the word integration. That's something that they're hung up on a lot, is they're saying that integration means merging. They're synonyms. They mean the same thing. And so if you're integrating your militaries, you're merging them. The 2021 NDAA literally uses the word integrate, and there was no merger of the militaries in 2021. Okay. What we're talking about is integration of very specific projects and syncing them up. What this NDAA says is that we will identify co-produced technologies and technologies produced and developed by the Israelis and implement them into our own military. It says nothing in that section specifically about giving things to Israel that we've developed independently and want to keep secret. It also makes it illegal to handle national security information in a reckless way when dealing with collaboration to Israel. It says that things, national security secrets and information must be carefully handled when engaging in this relationship. There is no mutual defense pact. Presumably, if two militaries are becoming one military, there would have to be a mutual defense pact because they are now one military, right? If one gets attacked, the other has to defend them because they're one military. They're one synchronous object. But there's no provision that says that. There's no provision for the transfer of ownership of weapons. Again, if they became one, presumably they'd communally own the weapons. There's no provision for that. There's no provision for chain of command changes. Presumably, Israeli generals would become American generals, and American generals would become Israeli generals if there was actually a merger. But there's not. There's no chain of command changes whatsoever in this bill. It's actually super uncomprehensive. It's far less than we've mentioned Israel in the past. Israel's only mentioned as a country 24 times in this bill, as opposed to 100 plus times in 2024 and 100 plus times in 2021. There's no provision for bringing American soldiers under Israeli generals or vice versa. There's no treaty for determining who commands what forces. There's no development of a united command structure or unified command structure. There's no provision combining personnel systems or clearances. So the systems that tell you, like CAC cards, right? So if you're in the U.S. military, you are documented inside of U.S. military services. If you're in IDF, you are documented inside of Israeli Defense Forces software. There's no provision for merging those two things. There's no adoption of a standardized doctrine for training. So obviously we train our soldiers in a certain way and they train their soldiers in a certain way. If we combined, we'd have to combine those things. There's no provision whatsoever for that. There's no adoption of a new standardized doctrine and training. There's no new draft of rules of engagement. There's no provision for combining communications for daily military activities. So if two militaries combine, they'd have to be on the same channels, communicating on the same systems, and there's no provision for that either. There's no provision for standardizing new uniforms. If two militaries merge and they're one military, they'd presumably all have to wear the same military uniforms. There's no new procedure for declaration of war. Right now, if we want to declare war on a country, which we haven't done since World War II, Congress has to issue a resolution that declares war on a country. Israel does it a different way. I'm not exactly familiar with how they declare war, but there's no provision for that. There's no new defense plans or strategies. There's no new ownership or transfer of warehouses and stockpiles. There's no provision merging contingency plans. So we have our contingency plans for if something goes wrong with a certain country. Israel has their contingency plans. There's no combination of those contingency plans. There's no provision for that in this bill. There's no new symbols, oaths, or medals. So right now, our soldiers swear an oath to the president and the Constitution. Their soldiers swear an oath to something else. I'm not sure what it is. There's no combination of those two things. So if these two militaries combined, presumably Israeli soldiers would have a problem swearing oath of allegiance to America, and American soldiers would have an issue swearing an oath of allegiance to Israel. But there's no procedure for changing that oath. That includes both. There's no new medals, so we have our own commendations. Israel has their own, and there's no provision for combining those. There's no structure of joint authority. There's no provision for structure of joint authority inside this bill. There's no merger. It's not true. The section is incredibly small and it's incredibly narrow. It just assigns a person in the federal government to oversee collaborations between the United States and Israel that have been happening for literal decades. There's no merger. It doesn't say merge anywhere in there. There's no provision that actually merges the military. People have brought up this point of data fusion. It says data fusion in the bill. And what they take that as it says we're going to collaborate on data fusion. What they take that as, it means that we're going to take all of our data, all of our sensitive national security data, and all of Israel's national security data, and we're going to combine them and fuse them. It's not what data fusion is. Data fusion in a military sense means that you take several input sources from different locations and put them together to create one real-time picture. So imagine you take like electro-optical fields and feeds, and you combine them with UAVs. That's what data fusion is. Imagine you're the security guard for the mall, and there's cameras all over the mall, and those cameras have microphones. Imagine you take all of the camera feeds and you put them on one monitor, and then you make all of the microphone feeds come through one speaker. That's data fusion. We do it independently right now. It doesn't mean you're taking one military's entire data stockpile and combining it with another military's. It's just an operation that takes place inside the military. That's all it is. Okay, let's move on to the next person. I'll bring up this guy. All right, he didn't join. In that topic that I just went over, the military merger is really what I want to talk to people about, because it's one of the most prevalent lies on the internet right now. And here's the problem, is that the NDAA is attached to the SAVE Act. The House passed a rule that says if the NDAA gets passed, the SAVE Act gets passed. And that's because the NDAA is very viable. It's a very viable bill. It's an appropriations bill. They usually get passed. And so they piggybacked the SAVE Act on top of it so that it would get passed. And what I think happened is the left started this lie about the military merger so that conservatives would twist their own ideals against themselves and kill the SAVE Act. Hi, how's it going? Bree?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Hi, what's your birthday?
November 13th, 2006.
November 13th, 2006.
If I sound very weird, or stutter a lot, I'm very nervous.
That's okay. Tell me what's on your mind. Do you disagree with one of the prompts?
I don't think the only two main reasons I don't believe Trump is a good president is because he's a predator and a liar.
Okay, how's he a predator?
Because he says multiple sexual comments towards his daughter, and also but he did spy on, but watch younger women get married. I'm so sorry. Dressed naked.
You're saying he did that with minors?
Not necessarily minors, but he is 80, and it was women way younger than him.
Okay. So he wasn't 80 when this happened. You're talking about the Miss USA beauty pageants, correct?
Yes, I'm not saying he is 80, but I'm saying that he's.
So he was a lot younger. This was at least 20 years ago, probably more like 30 years ago when this happened. But also,
does that really matter?
Well, I'm just pointing out that you said he was 80. He wasn't. Second of all, these women were getting changed outside of a dressing room in a public space.
Okay, but if you know that women are getting changed, then why would you go backstage and watch them?
I pose you the opposite side of that paradigm. If you know that people are watching, why would you get changed in front of them?
But they were getting changed while he was out of the room. It's not like they knew that he was going to go in and watch them.
Totally not true. He said that he would go backstage during a pageant and the women would get changed backstage. Backstage does
Yeah,
not mean a
'cause-
dressing room. During beauty pageants, this happens all the time. Women are expected to walk out on the runway very quickly, and then they get off the runway, and they're very quickly expected to walk back out on the runway in a different outfit. So they get changed backstage behind the curtain. She left. So yeah, I mean, is it a little weird? Maybe. He's the president of the pageant. There's a bunch of hot girls getting changed backstage in a space where he's allowed to be. I don't see the problem. If you don't want people seeing you naked, don't get changed backstage. And by the way, like, who else is backstage? Camera crews, stage hands, people who are helping run the lights, the speakers, the audio stuff. Like, there are tons of people backstage, and they're changing in front of these people. If you're an adult and you don't want people to see you get changed, don't change backstage. Go change in the dressing room. How's it going?
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Good.
So I don't like really disagree with you that much.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask, like, what if, because I know you're a fan of Trump. If he
I wouldn't say a fan.
were
I support
to-
him as president.
Okay, support him as president. Actually, could you elaborate a little on why you would say you're not a fan?
Well, if being a fan of somebody is kind of like somebody who, I don't know, maybe this is just stupid semantic, but I don't know. When I think fan, I think of like artists, like people who make music or movies or whatever. I don't think like I'm necessarily a fan of any politician. I think that I don't like that using that language towards politicians, because I think that all politicians do things that I disagree with, and it actually affects people. But I do think, in large part, he's a good president.
Could you provide an example of something that he did or said that you disagreed with?
Banning bump stocks, saying he was going to ban the burning of the American flag, which is a clear violation of the First Amendment. There's been a couple things. I can't think of all of them off the top of my head, but those are the two primary ones I think of.
I think that's good, because I think there are some misconceptions that people like you are like these crazy, like, culty worshipers of him. And I don't think that's true, but I think
Sure.
that a lot of people do believe that.
I appreciate that. I also think he doesn't
yeah.
go far enough sometimes. Like, I think that the military should have been deployed to Minneapolis. I was on the ground there, and I was being brutally attacked every single day. I almost got killed in Minneapolis. And there was no, on numerous occasions, and there was no, I don't know. It seemed very clear. 10 U.S. Code 12406 is very clear. The conditions for which you can deploy the National Guard. You can deploy the National Guard if there's a foreign invasion, which obviously wasn't happening, if there's a threat of rebellion, which was happening, or you're unable to enforce federal law with regular forces. And it's very clear, cut and dry, and it should have happened. It didn't. So that's something that I disagree with him on too.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I don't want to keep you here for too long, because I'm not really here to debate, but I'm a fan, and I think you're doing great stuff.
Thanks,
Just keep it going.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
And if you're ever in my area, I'll be looking for you.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Real quick, I just wanted to say, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, if you'd like to support me, my Cashapp, PayPal, and Venmo are in the description below, as well as my Amazon wish list. So thank you to BP for America, who's one of my moderators on YouTube, for helping me build this studio through my Amazon wish list. I put a lot of the things that I needed to build this studio on my Amazon wish list, and he spent much more money than I think he should have, helping me out. So I appreciate that. And if anybody else would like to contribute, we're still building the studio, I would appreciate it. The Amazon wish list is in the description below. Does the wish list include Lego? It doesn't include Lego. I only put things on my wish list that are for the studio or for like on the ground work. So I only put things on the Amazon wish list that will directly contribute to content that you're going to consume. For the past 3 years, I've only spent my money on on things that are for work. I almost never spend money on myself, so it helps me a little bit. Actually buy things that are useful for me when you guys help me buy stuff for the studio. So, all right, we're waiting on this person, see if they'll come up. How do I debate you? People on YouTube and X are asking how they debate me. Go to my TikTok page, just open TikTok, search Cam-Higby. You'll see that I'm live. Just click the live, and then there's a little pink and blue person. There's two, like a little icon that's two people, pink and blue. Just click that and request to come up, and then I'll see you in the box. All right, I think that person didn't come. Their name was Palestine Forever or something, so they didn't come up. All right, looks like that person didn't come through either. Okay, that person didn't come either. Let's see, I'm trying to look for somebody who looks like they disagree. Oh, there was a commie in there. David One Piece Lover wants to come up. Yeah, I know. I spelled incompatible wrong. I was rushing when I made the background. All right. Hey, how's it going?
Welcome. How are you?
Good. Do you disagree with one of the
I
prompts?
have a question. Are you a Christian?
I am a Christian.
You're not Christian.
What's that?
Are you a Christian?
Correct. Yes, I'm Christian.
Okay, so I want to debate about Christianity when it comes to these verses. When it comes to math.
Not interested in debating Christianity. Let's debate the prompts. I've only been a Christian for like 7 months, and I'm not a theological expert on that topic. So
well,
if you'd
you
like
have to do with the portal illegals. You have to do with the portal illegals.
Okay. The Bible acknowledges borders on numerous occasions, and it acknowledges that you need to follow the laws of the land. So if you're going to throw at me some stuff that says love thy neighbor, I don't care. Deport all illegal immigrants. That doesn't break my convictions to the Bible and Jesus Christ. I already know what you're going to say.
It also says in Romans 13:8-10, the commandments are summed up in this word: you shall love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah, I see. I already knew what you were going to say. Love thy neighbor, blah, blah, blah. It also acknowledges borders.
Actually, the New Testament goes against that.
What?
The New Testament goes against that. What you're
The
saying?
New Testament acknowledges borders. The Old Testament and the New Testament both acknowledge borders. Acts 17:26, Deuteronomy 32:8, and Exodus 23:31. All acknowledge borders. Deuteronomy 19:14 as well. I think these are all Old Testament, but regardless, it doesn't matter. You can love thy neighbor and still have borders. It's not a contradiction. Just because I don't want them to come to my country and violate my laws doesn't mean I don't love them. And it doesn't mean I don't want what's best for them. I do want what's best for them in their own country.
I mean, there's a contradiction between law and order. The biblical prophets say
I'm going to be
that
totally
a human
honest
law
with you.
contradicts.
I don't even know what you're saying. Love thy neighbors inside thy borders legally, literally. Deuteronomy 19:14 warns people not to move their neighbor's landmark or boundary stone, which is set up to mark property and territorial limits. Exodus 23:31 records God setting the exact territorial borders for Israel. Deuteronomy 32:8 explains that when Most High gave nations their inheritance, and separated humankind. He fixed the borders of the people. God literally created the borders of the world. Acts 17:26 states that God made all people from one man and has determined their pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their dwellings. No, deporting illegal immigrants is not a violation of Christianity. I think the warden is in here helping us out, guys. She just pinned something. I can't see what it is, but she just pinned something. Who's been here long enough to know who the warden is? Anybody? How do I pull up the chat on my computer? I'm still trying to get people to join. Everybody keeps dropping immediately. I add people and they drop before they even join. Yeah, she said, the warden says, don't forget to subscribe, guys. Make sure to subscribe and like the live if you're watching on YouTube. I'm still trying to get somebody to join. We've got a lot of people in the requests, but we've got a lot of people not joining. So I keep accepting them and then they don't join. If you're watching on TikTok, make sure to request to join if you want to have a conversation. All right, Saved by Christ wants to come up. He's in the chat saying he requested. There we go. All right, how's it going?
It's good on you?
Good. Do you disagree with one? Are you the same guy who's just up here?
No.
Okay. Do you disagree with one of the prompts?
Well, it's not any of those particularly, but it's similar topics. I was gonna ask if it's okay if we talk about how Israel was created.
Sure.
Okay, but I'd actually want to hear the first thing that is written, that the bill that was passed in the Senate is not a military merger.
It was passed in the House.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a military merger.
And I can accept that, but isn't it like that Israel and America basically share sensitive information about American and Israeli citizens?
No, definitely not. It doesn't say that anywhere in the bill. It talks about collaboration on specific military programs, which we've been doing for decades.
Well, if that is the case, then, I mean...
It's Section
up to you
219
guys,
of the NDAA. That's House Resolution 8800. It's not very long. You can read it in 5 minutes.
All right, because I haven't read about it, but I heard that that basically all the information that the FBI has about American citizens, Israel would have too.
Nope.
That's
doesn't
crazy.
say that anywhere in the bill.
Well, then that was a lie then, apparently.
Yep, it was
But
a lie.
anyways, are you against mass migration?
I am against mass migration.
So why do you support a country that was created through mass migration? I mean, I was pro-Israel before, but then after reading some history books, I realized that, if I don't want mass migration here in Sweden, why should I accept mass migration somewhere else?
Well, hold up. First of all, it's not my country, so I don't give a shit. Second of all, it's not mass migration; it's mass remigration. So if a bunch of
remigration,
correct, because Jews are from Israel. Now, I don't think they have a I don't believe in historic claims to land, so I don't think that they have a right to establish a country there just because they originally came from there. But you can't really call it mass migration. Hold up, pause. You can't really call it mass migration in the same way that, like, Arabs are mass migrating to Sweden in the United States and the UK, or Africans are mass migrating to Europe and the United States, in the same way that Jews remigrated to Israel. And by the way, most of the migration happened after the establishment of the country.
That is true, but my problem is, like, as I said, I mean, you can have double standards. I mean, you're not.
I don't have a double standard because I'm not upset at at Muslims mass migrating to the United States because they're Native Americans. I have a problem with them mass migrating to the United States because they're not from here and they're trying to change my country from within. That's why I have a problem with it.
So if Muslims colonized or settled or whatever you want to call it, North America before the English did, then you would have no problem with like New York being completely flooded with Arabs.
Hold up. In that case, I wouldn't even be here. If you're saying, would I have a problem? You're saying, would I have a problem with the Arabs colonizing North America before the English got here? In that case, I wouldn't even be here. So no, I wouldn't care. My family got here in 1600.
But I was talking about the scenario where, like, they settled there, but then they got kicked out. Like, they basically.
What are you talking about? Arabs are not from here. Arabs are from Arabia.
No, no.
Jews are from Israel. Arabs are not from America. They're from Arabia.
Yeah, but here's the deal. I don't think that you automatically get to remigrate somewhere just because, like, you have ancestry.
I didn't say that. I didn't. Well, hold up. I didn't say that. But here's the thing: is the Ottoman Empire allowed them to immigrate there, so they were doing legally within the laws of that country.
And that's my biggest problem with them. I think that just because it was
okay. Do you also hate America?
That it brought up.
Do you also hate America?
No, I don't hate America, but I don't think it should have been created in the ideal world. But
okay. So any problem you have with Israel are going to be the exact same problem you have with the United States, except Israelis are actually from Israel.
Yeah. And I was trying to say, like, in the ideal world, America shouldn't have been created. But I'm not like unhappy that it got created because it has.
Okay, so you also shouldn't be unhappy that Israel got created in that case then. On that basis.
Not necessarily, because they have helped in genocides.
Okay. So now we're getting to the crux of the issue.
I'm not.
Wait, hold up. They genocide Christians. You're saying the Israeli government genocides Christians?
Well, let me say what I really meant. They have aided in genocide against Christians.
And how have they aided in a genocide against Christians?
They sold weapons to Azerbaijan, which Azerbaijan used to genocide and ethnically cleanse Armenians.
Okay, and can you prove to me that Israel knew that Azerbaijan was going to try to do that? It seems pretty likely to me that Israel would have sold weapons to Azerbaijan because they're on Iran's border, not because they want them to genocide Christians. It's not. I didn't say that they sold weapons because they want to kill Christians. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying so you're saying that
their politics.
So why does it matter if they didn't do it on purpose? Like, why would you hold it against them if they don't do it on purpose?
Because they sold weapons to them only to get oil from Azerbaijan.
Okay, I doubt that's why they did it. I almost guarantee they did it because Azerbaijan is on Iran's border. They might have gained oil out of it, and that might have been a nice side benefit. But I almost guarantee the only reason to arm Azerbaijan is because they're on Iran's border. Second of all, if I am driving in my car and somebody else, a third party, does something on the road that causes me to get in an accident, but the accident isn't with that person, it's with another person, and it kills them, should I be like drugged through the mud for killing that person? Because I didn't really kill them. A car accident was caused by an unknown third party that was driving recklessly that caused me to crash into somebody else and kill them. Is that my fault?
No, but okay. I would say that the situation here is different because Israel knew that Azerbaijan and Armenia had. They knew that Azerbaijan and Armenian have had conflicts for I don't even know how many decades.
Okay, having a conflict with somebody doesn't mean you're going to kill them. We have conflicts with Mexico. That doesn't mean that we're going to genocide Mexico. Okay, so just because you have conflicts with another country doesn't mean you're going to genocide them. Prove to me that Israel knew there was going to be a genocide that would take place, and they armed them because of that.
But I'm not saying that they knew this. I'm saying that.
Okay, so then it doesn't matter. Then it's irrelevant to the character of Israel.
I disagree. I don't think they shouldn't have. I don't think they should have sold weapons to them.
Okay,
in the first place.
I could agree with you. That they shouldn't have sold weapons to them in the first place, but that doesn't make them complicit in a genocide. We've given weapons to lots of people who have done bad things. It was an accident, and we didn't know they were going to do bad things, but they did. We armed the Mujahideen, which then splintered off into Al-Qaeda and did 9/11. That doesn't mean that we're responsible for 9/11.
Partially.
Definitely not partially, considering they didn't even use the weapons that we gave them. They used box cutters.
No, but you guys armed the what Mujahideen or whatever it's called to fight the Soviet Union, and didn't think for like a split second, like, yo, what could possibly go wrong with arming?
Sure, but that doesn't mean it's our fault. That doesn't mean that we're responsible for 9/11. Independent actors with their own agency went and carried out 9/11.
Yes,
I
would argue
they
that
didn't use the weapons we gave them. They didn't. Also, we didn't give weapons to Al-Qaeda. We gave weapons to the Mujahideen, which had a splinter that caused Al-Qaeda, and they didn't use the weapons that we gave them to carry out 9/11. They literally used box cutters.
Look, I'm not saying America is like 20% responsible, whatever. I'm just saying like that I don't think that America has absolutely 0% like involvement in what happened. I mean, arming radical jihadists to fight the Soviet Union sounds like a terrible idea.
Sure, that's fine. That's great foresight. Hindsight is 20/20. That's awesome, man. Congratulations. You figured it out.
Yeah, but don't you think that... Okay, but let's say now that we know that Azerbaijan has used weapons to murder, genocide, and ethnically cleanse
you
Armenians.
have no way to prove that Israel still would have given them weapons. And they most likely would have not. Because you know who took in the refugees from that genocide? Israel did.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, do you think moving forward, do you think they should still sell weapons to them in the same way? And would you oppose them? And would you oppose them if they did that?
Yes. Listen, I don't agree with everything that Israel does. I'm not somebody who's going to get up here and say,
thank fuck for that.
I agree with everything Israel does. I support them as a strategic partner to the United States of America. I think they're a good ally, and I think they are beneficial to us insofar as we extract benefit to the American people from them. I also think it's a beautiful country, and I like to visit sometimes. I like to walk where Jesus walked. But that has nothing to do with the government. I think the government is useful so far as we can extract benefit to the American people from them.
Now, I'm just asking this because, I'm a Christian myself, and like I know plenty of people that basically worship that country, and I don't know how many times people in my church has told me, you have to support them because the Bible says so. That's complete nonsense. Okay,
well, I mean, the Bible does say that those who bless Israel will be blessed, but I don't think that's not the basis. That's not the basis for my position on Israel. My basis.
So then you agree that you shouldn't.
No, I mean, them being there. If you want to get biblical about it, literally Jews being in Israel right now is biblical prophecy.
Well,
the Bible says that they would be cast out and exiled, and that they would come back, and they did. So it is literally, if you want to, I don't like to argue on a religious basis, but if you want to talk about religion, it is prophetical.
But let's say it's a prophecy. Like, it being a prophecy doesn't mean I have to support that country or nation, whatever. I mean,
sure, that's fine, man. I really don't care. That's fine.
But let's say if the Roman Empire was prophesied. I'm not sure if it was.
That's not. Listen, you're arguing against nothing. That's not my position. That's not what I'm saying. I literally told you that I don't think you have to support Israel because there's a prophecy. That's not the reason that I support Israel. I support Israel as a strategic ally and partner to the United States insofar as we can extract benefit to the American people from the government. That's why I support Israel. Not because there's biblical prophecy. I've supported Israel longer than I've been a Christian.
But how are they as strategic partners when they blackmailed your politicians?
Yeah, there's zero evidence of that, first of all. There's literally zero evidence that that's the case. Second of all, they vote with the United States in contested UN votes 99% of the time. That's more than any of our purported allies. It's more than Canada. It's more than France. More than the UK. It's more than Sweden.
Because you guys are basically
they battle test all of it. Yep, wasn't finished. We're not basically the same country. We have two separate governments and two separate functioning militaries. They battle test our military equipment. Okay, all right. Well, listen, man. If you can't have manners and talk, not talk when I'm talking, then you can sit down. How's it going?
Yo, I'm going good, man.
Yep, you're good.
By the way, I know there's not a Israel military merger, but they're trying to cooperate more with Israel. We should not be cooperating with Israel.
It's literally
They're
the
a terrible
exact...
ally, and they bring us into wars.
Okay, how are they a terrible ally? Go ahead and tell me.
They're a terrible ally because we wouldn't be in this Iran war if it wasn't for Israel.
What makes you
And this
what
war
makes
is
you think
hurting
that?
our troops. It's hurting our defense capabilities. So all these missiles we're using.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you know that? How do you know we wouldn't be in the
How do I know
war if
what?
it wasn't
What
for
about
Israel?
what? Say it again.
How do you know we wouldn't be in the war if it wasn't for Israel?
Because Marco Rubio said himself. You know what Marco Rubio said,
He
and I'm
never
sure you're
said
aware
that.
of what I'm about to say.
He never said that.
So what did Marco Rubio say?
Go ahead. You tell me. What did he say? Go ahead.
Marco Rubio said that, and this is what he said. He said we're in this war because Iran has nukes, and we don't want them to have nukes. But he also said that we decided to strike Iran because if we didn't strike Iran, Israel was going to strike Iran, and since we were Israel's ally, Iran was going to
He
strike
didn't
us.
say
So
that.
he
And a
said-
week later, he literally explained exactly what he
No,
meant
he
when he
said
was
that.
talking.
He said that
never
in
said
interview.
Iran had nukes. They don't
He
have
did.
nukes. They had nuclear enrichment up to 60%, I believe, which was pretty close to being able to obtain a nuclear weapon. But they didn't have a nuclear weapon. He never did that. Another thing, Iran repeatedly kills our soldiers on bases through their proxies. They killed our soldiers in 2024. 2 of them at Tower 22 in Jordan. They injured 40. They killed our soldiers in Syria and Iraq. They literally sent an intelligence asset to kill the president. That person was captured, convicted, and confessed under the Biden administration. He literally came here with the intent of killing Donald Trump and other politicians. Okay, that is an act of war, and it deserves to be met with war. So what did we do? We waited until Ayatollah Ali Khamenei came out of his hiding hole, came above ground, and we fucking killed him. And he deserved it. You don't get to send intelligence assets to assassinate the president of the United States without getting killed.
Okay, but that doesn't mean we're going to war.
Yeah, absolutely it does.
I don't wanna go
Sending
to
an
war for that.
intelligence
I'm sorry?
asset to kill the president is an act of war. There is
I'm
no
sorry, bro,
dispute.
I'm not trying to go to war for that. I'm not trying to go for war for
Okay,
that.
that's fine.
If you're trying to go for war
That's
for
fine.
that, I'm not trying to go for war
Congratulations.
for that. That's cool,
Congratulations.
for sure.
Okay.
For sure,
Somebody
man.
sends somebody to assassinate my president, you go to war with that. That's an act of war. If you don't, you're weak. The Middle East is a place of barbarism. It's a place where people operate under the assumption that if you do not retaliate against an act of war, that you are weak and they will continue doing it. So if they send an intelligence asset to kill the president of the United States and other politicians, and we do not respond in kind, they will do it again, which continues to put our country at risk. It's an act of war. Like, I don't even understand how you couldn't see that as an act of war.
Hey,
How's it
Cam,
going?
bro. What's up, man? I just want to say, man, I'm not here to argue. I'm just a fan. I just want to say, man, I'm a big fan of content. I've watched you pretty recently, and I'm
Thanks,
glad
man.
to see somebody I can, relate with. And I just want to say, man, do you think the SAVE Act could eventually help Trump get a win in 2028, or do you feel like it might be Jober?
I definitely do not think that Trump should run in 2028 or be elected in 2028. That's for sure. Do I think that Republicans could get a win if we pass the SAVE Act? Definitely.
So do you think it would be Vance 28, or do we have to pick somebody else for the Republican nominee?
I'm personally, I like JD Vance, but I like Marco Rubio a little bit better.
Oh, so you're thinking of like a Rubio and JD Vance type of thing, or like?
I don't think JD would go for being VP again. I also think that JD isn't experienced enough. So like, I think that I think he needs a couple more years in politics, and then maybe he could be president. But right now, I don't think he's ready.
Man,
He's too
I just
young.
feel like, in my personal opinion,
He was in Congress for like 1 year, or a couple year, handful of years, and then he became vice president, which is a job that you do nothing. Now he's probably been more involved than most VPs in the past, but it's still a job that's basically nothing. So I don't think he's ready to be president. I think Marco Rubio has a ton of political experience, and I think that he's got a great head and shoulders. And I think he'd be a good president.
Yeah, I could see like a Rubio 28 thing. But I don't know, man. We can see how it really goes. But in my personal opinion, I would like Trump to run again in 2028 to at least have it, because I already grew up on his first term and second. I like him every third. But again, we can disagree on that. But I still love the content, man. And I'm gonna tap in on the live, man. Thanks for bringing me up here, man.
Yeah,
and I appreciate you, man, bro.
Thanks.
Love your content.
Have a good day.
Peace.
Bye. Johnny says he's the VP, bro. Yeah, VP's. And again, I'm not trying to diminish JD Vance. I really do like him, but vice presidents don't do anything. I mean, didn't he just go on a book tour? He had time to write a book while he was vice president. They don't do anything. Kamala Harris didn't do anything. Mike Pence didn't do anything. Joe Biden didn't do anything while he was VP. They do nothing. Literally, like go back to McKinley's presidency. Teddy Roosevelt was made vice president for the sole purpose of killing his political career. He was made vice president because the Republican Party was upset with him and didn't know what to do with him. And so they made him vice president to kill his political career because vice presidents don't do anything. And then McKinley got killed and he became president. All right, who's next? Yeah, I know. I spelled incompatible wrong. I made the thing in a rush. Who cares? Ashley Webb 2028. I totally agree with that, actually. I totally agree with that. Graham Webb 2028. And if you guys are watching while I'm waiting for somebody to come up, make sure to like the live. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and check out the Amazon wish list in the description below if you'd like to help support my work. How's it going?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Ooh, little. We got a little noise.
So, do you think Trump is working with Israel?
Yeah, every president has worked with Israel since like the 60s and 70s.
So, do you think if Tung Tung Sahor was president?
I can't hear. Sorry, I couldn't catch that. Your mic is doing some weird stuff.
Oh, sorry. If Tung Sahor was president, would you be the goon master?
Dude, come on.
Or would you say
Hi, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going? You know, I'm not ops or anything like that. I've actually been watching you since for a long time, for a couple of years. But I just had a question.
Sure.
You were speaking to another individual, I think 2 individuals or 3 individuals back, and you mentioned a standard on why you believe Israel was should.
I think I lost you. Can you hear me? Also, the warden, while you're watching this, if you want to take down timestamps of good moments inside the live so that we can cut clips later, that'd be great. Yeah, I think I lost you, man. I can't hear you. Make sure to like the live, guys. Like the live and subscribe. Hit the bell so you know when I'm live. Hello? Osama Salami?
Hello.
How's it going?
Osama Slimani.
Slimani. How's it going? I can't hear you when you leave the app.
Okay, it's going great.
Okay, I'm glad to hear
You
that.
are American. You are American, right?
Correct, I'm American.
Why do you support Israel? What do you guys have to do with that land?
Well, they're an ally to the
And
United
why do you-
States. They're an ally to the United
So
States,
you
and they're a
support-
good one.
They're not the good ones.
No,
So
they're a
you
good
support
ally
the
for sure. They
idea
give
that-
us lots of beneficial things. Like they vote with us in contested UN votes 90% of the time. It's more than any of our purported allies. They weapons test all of our developed weapons. They test them in battle. That's trophy systems on Abrams
they-
tanks, the
they
F-35
test-
Lightning II, the F-15.
So they test your weapons on Palestinians. So you
No,
think- you know-
not just on Palestinians.
So,
They test them on
so you-
the
so you think
Lebanese.
that
They
the
test
fact-
them on.
Ah,
They test them on lots of people.
Exactly.
Militants, though.
Exactly.
Combatants.
Exactly.
Enemy
That's
soldiers,
why
they
you
test
are
them on.
the-
Yeah, so when I'm talking,
people
just a
and
simple
the other
rule.
good ones.
Everybody's been pretty good at obeying this up until you came up. Might have something to do with the level of sophistication and civilization of your society. I'm not sure. We don't talk when I talk. When I talk, you're not talking. So
You didn't even
to
let me
continue,
speak.
Israel also
You
gives
didn't
us
even
oil
let me
from their
finish my
national
question.
waters. Yeah, so again, sorry. When I'm talking, you're not talking. We'll just establish that as a rule. They also, the Leviathan and Tamar oil fields, they called up a Dallas-Fort Worth LNG company and had us harvest them. So we got a bunch of free oil. We sold it to Arab countries and strengthened our relationships with those countries. I mean, there's a whole host of reasons why Israel is a good ally to the United States. But if you'd like to speak now, you're more than welcome to. You just have to click your profile and unmute yourself.
So you allies with Israel because they test your weapons on Palestinians.
That's
and you
one of the reasons, but they don't
let
test it on
me-
Palestinians. They test it on Hamas.
You said they tested on Palestinians and Lebanese. And you
Well,
support
Hamas are Palestinians. Hezbollah are also Lebanese.
Yeah, and what's wrong with Hamas and Hezbollah?
Well, they're
defending
terrorists. First of all, their charter,
from the
Hamas,
fucking Jew.
the Hamas charter says, oh, I'm a fucking Jew now. Okay. The Hamas charter literally says the day of judgment will not come about until the Muslims fight the Jews, killing the Jews. When the Jews hide behind stones and trees, the stones and trees will say, oh, Muslims, oh, Abdullah, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him. That's from your scriptures. It's Sahih al-Bukhari, or sorry, Sahih Muslims. That's a hadith, Sahih rated. And they cite it in Article 7 of their charter. They're a terrorist organization by definition. They spent 2000 through 2005 blowing people up in shopping malls, at bars, at ports, at schools. They would literally get on school buses and then blow them up with little kids on them. They're terrorists.
So if you defend your land from the Jews,
Yeah,
you are
and so I just think wearing a suicide vest and getting on a school bus and blowing it up with children on board is not defending your homeland, especially when you do it somewhere that's not your homeland. You do it in a different country. They didn't do it in Gaza. They did it in Israel.
That's
in Tel Aviv.
Jewish propaganda.
It's not Jewish propaganda.
That's Jewish propaganda.
Okay. That's fine. So it didn't happen. There was never any suicide bombings in Israel, 2000, 2005. The second Intifada didn't happen. Over 1,000 Jews weren't murdered in Israel.
Because
okay, so you agree that it happened. So they were a terrorist organization.
The suicide bomb.
What's that?
The suicide bomb happened by individuals.
Individuals who worked for
you know
Hamas.
what
Yes,
happened.
correct. Hamas literally took credit for the attacks.
This is not the issue. The issue is the Jews after Europeans. After Europeans killed 6 million of them, and they kicked them out from Europe and sent them to Palestine. And there are Palestinians living there. And,
That's not how
you
Jews got
cannot,
in Israel. That's
go
not
to
how it
some-
happened. They started immigrating in the late 1800s. It didn't happen as a result of the
No,
Holocaust. In fact, most Jews that survived the Holocaust weren't allowed in Israel. The Exodus ship that was full of Holocaust survivors that came to the shores of Israel wasn't allowed there because it was under British control, and because Arabs revolted and engaged in riots, the British issued white papers that didn't allow any more Jewish immigration. So the ship literally got turned away.
There was a minority of Jews who lived in peace under
Right, there
under
was
the
Jews
rule.
there. They immigrated there hundreds of years prior.
Once the Jews became a majority, look what happened to Palestinians. They are doing a genocide to Palestinians.
Okay, what is a genocide?
What happened when you see the Jews? They wipe out.
What is a
entire
genocide?
Arab
A genocide has nothing to do with Jews. Anyone can do a genocide. So tell me, what is it? What is a genocide?
genocide when Palestine was 100% populated by Arabs, and now
Okay,
Arabs
so
become
I'm just
minority.
asking
That's the
what a
thing.
genocide is broadly. What's the definition of the word genocide? Do you know what a definition is?
What's happening now in Palestine? is
What does it
genocide
mean? What does the
happening
word
since
mean? Tell me,
1948.
what is a genocide? I'm going to give you one more chance. What is a genocide?
I already answered your question.
No, you didn't.
Genocide when Palestinians were the majority, and right now.
What is
they're
it, pal?
minority
What is a genocide?
And killed by the Jews. That's the definition of.
No, that's not the
genocide.
definition. Sorry. We're going to move on to the next person now. How's it going?
Hey, mate. Oh, I didn't realize I was on. Yeah. Hey, mate.
Okay. See you later. This guy's been in the comments saying that he has knowledge. Comes, I. Thank you, Johnny, for the gift. How's it going?
How you going? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
So I'm a nationalist. So do you mind if I just go through your points and kind of tell you my perspective on them?
Sure.
Alrighty. Let me see if I can enlarge it. So the U.S.-Israel merger, I believe it's largely blown out of proportion. Although the intelligence sharing, we've already been doing that, so I don't really see the huge issue with it. Sorry, it made your screen small, so I can't really.
I did
read
that
the
so my
second
stream
one.
could see you better. Here, I'll pull it
Oh
up real
yeah,
quick.
yeah. Thank you. Trump is a good president. I largely believe that he's gone back on a lot of his promises. I do not believe he's been a particularly good president. Maybe one of the better ones, although we've had a lot of clowns in, so that's not a huge feat for me. Deport all illegals. I think we should deport every non-white person. Basically, there is no such thing as transgender. There definitely is, and they're all infested with a mental illness. And then Islam is evil and incompatible with America. I totally agree with you there, but I also think Jews are not compatible and also are kind of evil with American politics.
Okay, so let's talk about the Jew thing.
Yeah, if
Okay.
you want to.
Go ahead. Tell me.
So I think as of lately, they have kind of infiltrated our government. They're obviously disproportionately involved with our government. There's no debate about that. The lobbies, as are many lobbies, very, predatory on the American system. The pharmaceutical companies, all these different lobbies, they're very predatory. And I just don't see Israel as, they don't share our same values, and they don't always have our same positions in mind while trying to create laws that they kind of push.
Okay. So I would agree with you that Israel doesn't share all of the same values as the United States because they're not the United States and they were born out of a completely different situation than the United States. So presumably they have some different values. I think that they do largely share like general Western values. I think that they relate to us a lot more than most other countries in terms of our value systems, but obviously not on everything. I'm talking about the entire world. More than most countries. Let's talk about the lobbies. What lobbies are you talking about?
Obviously, AIPAC. They have JPAC. They have a bunch of lobbies. They have state government lobbies. They have federal government lobbies. They have the World Jewish Congress. They have a ton of lobbies.
Okay, so AIPAC is not an Israeli lobby.
But
Completely
okay.
true.
So let me ask you a hypothetical question. If there was the American Qatar lobby and they were lobbying on behalf of Qatar, would you?
Well, they're not lobbying. So AIPAC is a PAC, and I think you're actually arguing in better faith than most people because you've admitted this. AIPAC is a PAC that was started by Americans and it's completely funded by Americans, and they lobby on behalf of a continued relationship between America and Israel. Based on our current laws, if Americans got together and they established a PAC to lobby for a relationship between the United States and Qatar, and they raised all of the money in the United States, there would be nothing illegal about that. And it probably exists. Qatar lobbies themselves, like their own government lobbies us, and they put a bunch of money into our education system and stuff, but they're registered with FARA. AIPAC is not a foreign lobby, and so they don't register with FARA. So, like, based on current lobbying laws, there's nothing wrong happening there. You can disagree with the lobby, that's fine. I disagree with lots of lobbies, but that doesn't mean they're doing anything wrong, illegal, or anything like that. I think we should largely get rid of monetary lobbying in general, and that includes all lobbies, like AIPAC, it includes the Qatar lobby, it includes like teachers lobbies and lawyers lobbies and the Irish lobby and the Italian lobby. I don't care. You shouldn't be able to use money to incentivize politicians to do things.
Totally agree with you there. I just was saying in general, like, it's kind of a double standard I think we have with Israel in particular, because a lot of people, they would kind of go against the Saudi, even though they're our allies as well. They disagree with the Saudi lobby and stuff like that, even though they are registered under FARA. So at least at the bare minimum, I think Israel should have to register as under FARA.
Well, if Israel directly lobbies the United States, I agree with you. But if they're not directly lobbying the United States and it's a separate group lobbying on behalf of a relationship between America and Israel, run by Americans and funded by Americans, they shouldn't have to register under FARA, obviously. Now, again, I think that we should get rid of all lobbying that includes APAC. But in this case, they shouldn't be registered under FARA because they're an American PAC. The Qatari lobby is not an American PAC. It's literally the Qatari government lobbying the American government. And that's legal to do as long as they're registered under FARA.
While I agree it is legal, Jewish people, do you agree it's an ethnicity and not just a religion?
Correct.
Can you agree?
Yeah,
Okay.
Of course.
So the Jewish people, especially after the Holocaust, have a set special interest for their people and their survival, right?
Sure.
All right. So they are like a nomadic people. They're like gypsies. They don't actually have a certain homeland. So obviously, even if they're
of course
American,
they do. They have a homeland in Israel.
Yeah. Okay. So let's take that off the table. Let's say there's no Israel. They have a set, and they're not just homed in Israel. Obviously, there's American Jews.
Of course.
There's German Jews. They're everywhere. They're a nomadic people. So they have a set special interest to secure the future of Israel. Just like Ben Shapiro said that America is number one guarantor of supporting, or Israel is his number one guarantor of supporting America.
Wait. Say that again. You're saying that like America is the guarantor of Israel's existence. Is that what you're saying?
That is a quote from Ben Shapiro.
Okay. I listen. I don't care what Ben Shapiro says. I don't get all of my facts from Ben Shapiro. I don't watch his podcast.
I don't either.
I don't watch anything from him. So the United States is not the only thing guaranteeing. Sure, we help Israel and they help us, but we're definitely not the only thing guaranteeing Israel's existence. Israel existed for decades before the United States ever helped them. The first president to help Israel in a major way was Richard Nixon.
Yeah, and okay, and maybe they were existence for 10 years before America got involved with them. Because they were
Definitely
48, and then they were 48. Creation of Israel, 48. Then you have what? 1960? Maybe.
1 second.
Maybe even before that. They're not decades.
1973 was the first major assistance to Israel, Operation Nickel Grass under Nixon.
Yeah, major, but we've always been on their side. Even 73.
Not really. We were not helping Israel in any way, in hardly any way before 1973. JFK did help Israel in some way. He was the most pro-Israel president of his time, but the first major assistance to Israel was Operation Nickel Grass. We weren't guaranteeing their existence before, even with Operation Nickel Grass. We weren't guaranteeing their existence. We just helped them out with an airlift.
There was no guaranteeing their existence because they really didn't start problems until the 70s.
What are you saying? They didn't start problems until the 70s.
I mean,
I assume that you think all of the wars prior to 1967 were their fault, right?
No.
They were in more wars before 1973 than they were after.
Who was?
Israel wasn't a thing. Eventually, before 1973, absolutely, they were a thing. They were founded in 1948.
Yeah, but
before 1973, they were involved in far more wars than the following decade or the following 2 decades.
Yeah, but those were very local, regional wars.
Okay, what's your point? They're still engaged in very local, regional wars today.
Those were smaller powers that they could actually defend themselves against.
They're still involved in very localized conflicts. They're not fighting like China.
Yeah, but they're fighting Iran, and we're having a hard
Iran
time
is also a
defending
local power. They fought Iraq too, and Iraq border in 1948 and 1967. Hold up, Iraq was engaged. Iraq was engaged in war against Israel both in 1948 and 1967, and Iraq borders Iran. They're just
Iraq
as local.
Is like Iraq is like throwing rocks at them. I'm talking about an actual power that can compete with Israel.
Hold up, but at the time, all of these countries were powers that could compete with Israel. In 1948, Jordan had an actual military. Israel didn't. All of the countries surrounding Israel had actual militaries, except them.
Can I get a word in?
Sure, go ahead.
The first power that Israel actually got into conflict with was Egypt. And what did they do when they were about to lose?
That's not true. Israel, the first country that joined the 1948 war was Transjordan, with the Transjordanian Arab Legion. Egypt got involved, yes, so did all of the countries that surrounded them.
Okay, and when Egypt got involved, what did Israel do?
I don't know. What are you going to say? They did lots of things. What are you going to say they did?
USS Liberty.
Okay, that's not true. That's 1967, not 1948. And I am actually the only person alive, actually the only person in world history who's ever debated a survivor of the USS Liberty. So we can go down that path if you want to, but I don't know if you actually want to. It was an absolute bloodbath, the
It
debate.
was a deliberate attack.
It absolutely was not a deliberate attack. Tell me what happened leading up to the USS Liberty.
They were in war with Egypt.
Correct.
Right? They were about to lose.
They were in war with everybody.
You know what the Samson option is?
I do.
Okay. So our ship, USS Liberty, obviously, was out to sea in the area, and it got bombed and napalmed and struck multiple times, by the way. And they were flying a U.S. flag. Why has that never happened since?
I've got a better question for you because friendly fire. Hold up, friendly fire happens all the time. I want to clarify your position real quick. So friendly fire happens all the time. Our Air Force has actually attacked our own ships. But I want to clarify something with you first, your position. So it's your position that Israel was about to lose the war against Egypt, and so they wanted to drag the United States into it by framing Egypt for the attack, correct?
Yeah, false flag.
Okay, awesome.
Very common.
So if Egypt if Egypt was crushing Israel and Israel was about to lose the war and they needed America to join, why did Israel surrender the exact same day that the USS Liberty was attacked, only a few hours later after the attack?
Because we found out that they were behind it.
Definitely. No. Egypt surrendered to Israel. Why would Israel attack a U.S. ship with the intention of dragging the United States into a war, the 6-Day War, which you didn't even know, because they were about to lose, if Egypt was on the verge of surrender? Egypt surrendered a few hours after, I believe it was June or July 11th, 1967, that the USS Liberty was attacked. The exact same day Egypt surrendered. Why?
Okay,
why would they drag the United States into the war when Egypt was surrendering?
Join, which we were planning to do.
Sorry,
They
say
probably
again.
thought we were gonna
I didn't
join.
hear you. Say again.
They were probably thinking that we were going to join the war, which they know they can't win against us, which we were probably going to do.
We were probably going to join the 6-Day War?
Yeah.
Absolutely
Israel
not.
We were allied against them.
Allied against Israel?
No, against Egypt.
So okay, I'm losing the plot here. You're saying that Israel wanted the United States to join the war against Egypt because they were losing.
Yes.
Okay. Egypt surrendered a few hours after the USS Liberty was attacked. The same day it was attacked. So if Egypt was on the verge of surrender, and by the way, in the following days, all of the countries involved in the war surrendered to Israel, why would they try to drag the US into a war that they had already won? They literally destroyed 90% of Egypt's air force on the tarmac before it ever left the ground. Why would they need us in that war? They were crushing. They were absolutely demolishing them. Why would they need us to join the war?
They weren't crushing them.
They were. It's the 6-Day War. They won the whole war against 5 different countries in 6 days. What do you mean? They were demolishing them. It was a fucking bloodbath.
It was not.
They won the whole war in 6 days. They got 5 separate countries to issue surrender. What do you mean it wasn't? What? It was like the shortest war in history.
Can I respond?
Go ahead.
Israel was about to get the Americans to join the war.
Why did they need us? Egypt was already surrendering.
I don't believe that.
Look up right now. Do you have a computer in front of you?
I do.
Okay, look up right now what day the USS Liberty was attacked and then read it to me.
Yeah.
No, just do it. Just do it.
No. Before I will look it up. But before I look it up, just because it's on the same day, it could have been
Just
before
do it.
or
Please,
after.
please, just do it.
What do you want me to look up? When?
What day was the USS Liberty attacked?
And while I'm looking this up, yeah, June 8th, right?
Okay, June 8th. Now tell me what day. Now Google this exactly. What day did Egypt surrender 6-Day War?
It's the same day.
It's the same day. So why would Israel need America to join the war if they were already winning?
Okay. That's when they initially started it. But
No, that's when they issued their formal surrender. They formally surrendered to Israel on June 8th.
It says the 6-Day War officially concluded on June 10th.
Yeah, the 6-Day War officially concluded on June 10th because the Syrians still had to surrender, the Iraqis still had to surrender. Egypt wasn't the only country that needed to surrender. You said they were getting whooped by the Egyptians and they needed America to come help them against the Egyptians. The Egyptians surrendered the same day the Liberty was attacked. They don't need our help fighting north of Israel, because they're weak countries that don't have as strong a military. Also Jordan still had to surrender. The strongest country they were fighting was Egypt because they were backed by Russia heavily.
Okay, but you still haven't allowed me to make this point.
Go
Just
ahead.
because it's on the same day, we don't know if it was before or
It was
after.
after. They surrendered a couple hours after the USS Liberty was attacked.
Okay, so it was after.
It was shortly after, yeah. So again, if
So-
Egypt is on the verge of surrender, why do they need America to get dragged into the war?
Can I finish this without you interrupting me?
Go ahead.
If Egypt found out that an American ship was attacked and thought that they were going to join the war, obviously it would be wise of them to surrender if America was going to join Israel's side.
Wait,
do you agree?
But that's not what happened. Egypt never was under the impression that America attacked their ship. Israel literally that day admitted that it was them. The same day Israel admitted that it was them. They had an American naval attaché on the ship.
Let me clarify real quick. So, if Egypt was under the impression that an American ship got attacked, even if it wasn't them, and they were under the impression that America was going to join the war because they thought it was Egypt, then they would surrender. Is that
America literally expressed the exact same day that they weren't entering the war, and then our president LBJ reached out to the Russian prime minister and told him what was up the same day. That's an ally of Egypt. And the reason we reached out to him is because we were initially we launched 2 fighter jets, A4s, off of the Saratoga, and we sent them to help because we didn't know what was happening. We sent them to help the USS Liberty until we found out that it was Israel. We found out that there was a U.S. naval attaché on the ship already that came from Tel Aviv, and we had the situation under control, and the USS Liberty was on its way to Malta to meet up with the 6th Fleet. So we launched those fighter jets, the A4s, and LBJ reached out to Russia and said, hey, we're flying A4s into your territory. Like, don't be alarmed and please don't shoot them down. It's literally just for reconnaissance. And then the prime minister of Russia reached back out and he's like, okay, that's fine. Sorry about your ship.
All right. So do you want to move on to another point? Because I don't
Sure.
think we're going to find
You should look into the USS Liberty more. You should actually watch my debate with Phil Turney. Do you know Phil Turney?
I definitely will. No, I don't, but I don't really watch you either. I just know who you are.
You should watch my debate with Phil Turney. Phil Turney is the president of the Liberty Veterans Association. He was on the ship. You should watch my debate with him.
I will.
It's very good.
I will.
It's about an hour and a half long.
On Rumble, YouTube, what is it on?
You can find it on YouTube. If you just search Cam-Higby, USS Liberty, I'm sure it'll come up. He's an old guy, scruffy beard, looks like a boomer. There was like an hour before the debate of him trying to figure out how his mic worked.
I'm not debating in bad faith here.
I know you're not. I actually commend you because I think you're actually doing a good job of not making stuff up and not arguing in bad faith, which is what I get a lot on here. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Is there another point that you would disagree with me on?
It's up to you, man. You can talk about whatever you want.
Can you pull those things back up?
Sure.
I'm just on my phone, so I can't really read them. Trump is a good president. I'd like to debate you on that.
Sure. Let's talk about it.
So my kind of thing is, even in his first term, he didn't build the wall. He didn't do a lot of this stuff. The Russia war with Ukraine not ended on the first day. No new wars, obviously, with Iran. I don't believe they were trying to build a nuclear weapon. And we had a deal that would have made us allowed to go into their facilities and make sure they weren't making a nuclear weapon. So even though it was under Obama, and I think he made a lot of mistakes during his presidency, I just don't think that Iran was actually trying to build a nuclear weapon, and I don't think the war was really kind of justified. And I think that the Trump campaign, Jared Kushner, all these cats made a lot of money off this war. You know, he's kind of shouting stuff out for the stock market before, you know, he makes these big announcements every single weekend. So,
okay, so I'll just run through these real quick. What I really want to talk about is the war being unjustified, but I'll just run through some of the points you made real quick. Trump did build the wall. He built over 400 miles of the wall. You talked about the JCPOA. The JCPOA was stupid. You said they weren't building nuclear weapons. They literally had 60% enriched uranium. That's according to the IAEA. And on top of that, and by the way, 60% enriched uranium is used for literally nothing other than building nukes. And you said the war is unjustified. So let's talk about the war being unjustified. Iran literally sent an intelligence asset to assassinate Donald J. Trump. That is not allowed. It's an act of war. He is convicted. He's admitted that he was sent here to do that, and he's in jail.
So why wouldn't that be the reason that they started the war? Because the reason they started the war was because they were attempting to build a nuclear weapon. I would support the war. Any American would support the war if Iran actually sent someone to assassinate the president.
I'm not saying that the administration has the best messaging. I'm not saying the campaign is the best messaging. I don't care what their specifically cited reason for going to war was. But what I do know is that trying to kill the president is a justified reason to go to war. Also, constantly killing our soldiers while they're on base is a justified reason to go to war. In 2024, they killed 2 soldiers in Jordan at Tower 22. They killed our soldiers in Iraq and in Syria. That's not allowed. You can't kill our soldiers and send an asset to kill the president. That person has been convicted and admitted he was sent here to do that. Not allowed. That's an act of war. So we waited for Ayatollah Ali Khamenei to come out of his hiding hole, and then we painted him on the walls of his palace.
Okay. I just was the U.S. soldier thing like after the war started or before?
No, it was before.
Was it before?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's definitely a reason to strike some things, but a full-fledged war that shuts down the Strait of Hormuz, all these other things, like I don't know.
Yeah,
about
totally
all that.
justified. You send somebody to kill the president of the United States. Yeah, definitely, that's an act of war, and you better prepare to get fucked because that's what's coming. You're not allowed to try to kill our president.
And there's no chance at all that the person just falsely admitted or was
Definitely not. We literally identified. By the way, it wasn't even under the Trump administration. The Biden DOJ caught him. We identified him as an Iranian intelligence asset, and the Biden administration has no incentive to lie about somebody who was sent here to kill Trump. It goes completely against their narrative. So they arrested him, convicted him, and he admitted that he was sent here to kill Trump. You cannot come here and kill a president. That is against the rules. That is an act of war, and we now kill you.
Totally true. So Biden, why didn't Biden do anything about it? Because yeah, he was a terrible president, but
there could be a slew of reasons. I think that for the most part, the presidency was basically a shadow cabinet under Biden, and it was a lot of young people who were super anti-war especially with Arab countries. And on top of that, it could have been something as simple as maybe his administration wanted to go to war, but the timing was improper. So like Ayatollah Ali Khamenei spent almost all of his time below ground. So if you're gonna start a war with Iran, you're probably gonna want your first move to be taking out the king. Right. If you're playing chess and you can make your first move taking out the king, probably going to want to do it. Now, that's obviously impossible in chess, but obviously that's the goal. So what Trump did the same thing. He waited for Ayatollah Ali Khamenei to come out of his hidey hole, and then he killed him, painted him on the walls of his palace.
Yeah. But the assassination on Trump, when was that? Like when was that planned?
It was in the latter half of, I don't know when it was planned, but when it was attempted to be executed, it was in the latter half of the Biden administration, when Trump was dominating the polls in the 2024 election. So Iran knew he was going to be president.
Did they ever get close to him, or was it just like a?
I can't recall the exact details. He was sent here to kill Trump and several other politicians, and he had a team here. The like leader of the people that were sent here was convicted. I'm sure the rest of them were. If you just Google Iran, I think there was 2 of them, like 2 attempts. But if you just Google DOJ Iranian asset sent to kill the president conviction, the DOJ website will come up and it will have details on the conviction. It was under the Biden administration.
Well, I guess my only question would be, why would Trump say this publicly? Because you know how public this guy is. I mean, Trump, he likes to spout online a lot. Obviously, everyone knows that. But why would he only say this after the second assassination attempt on the golf course? I guess that would be my legitimate question.
Why would he say what?
When the guy tried to kill him on the golf course, why would that be the time? Why would that be the time that Trump actually says, "Oh, Iran is actually behind this"?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Let's look
Yeah,
into it
that's
more.
just what, that's kind of what makes me confused because I've actually never seen any legitimate claims on the Iranian assassination.
Nobody
attempt,
talks
but
about
you
it for
said-
some reason. It's on the DOJ website, though. You can read it. I think there's 2 separate articles about 2 separate cells that were sent to kill him.
I'm not doubting it at all, but I'm just saying, like, why would that? I guess that's kind of what confused me.
Was that
Know more
one
about
guy?
it.
I forget his name. Was he sent by, or was he involved with Iran at all? I'm not sure. Probably not. But maybe. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the link there, but I do know that there was at least 1 cell sent here to kill the president of the United States, which is not allowed.
No, I'm not even saying the second guy was, but I'm just saying that is when Trump had like publicly came out
Yeah,
and
I
said
remember.
that Iran was.
I remember.
So I guess that's what confuses me about this. Obviously, you seem to know a little bit more about it than I do, so I guess
Sure.
that was what made me ask questions.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure the answer to your question.
But in the whole thing of Trump being a good president, I mean, you said the wall. I mean, it's not built. Obviously,
Well,
there's
I
still
didn't. I
people-
didn't say the wall. You said the wall. You said that he hadn't built the wall. I said that he
you
built.
Said the wall. You said the wall was built. You said they built 400
Yeah,
miles.
correct.
I could be wrong, but I think our border with Mexico is a little bit over 400 miles.
You're
like,
correct.
Very much.
You're correct.
So
It was
he
a
did not build the
it was a
wall.
plan to be over 2 administrations. He built very much of the wall, roughly a quarter of the entire border.
Okay, and we're in our second Trump administration, and how much has he got done in this one?
Well, right now, he's focused on mass deportations and recovering what happened under the Biden administration.
No, he's not.
Definitely he is.
He called off mass deportations after Pretty Good got killed or something like that.
He never called off mass deportations. Definitely not.
Yes, he did. Yes, he
Definitely
did.
not.
Mass
He positioned ICE agents all over New York City during the World Cup after Preddy got killed. I was there when Preddy got killed, by the way. He positioned federal agents in airports after Preddy got killed. Definitely he didn't stop mass deportations after Preddy got killed.
So he publicly made a statement to the other Republicans running for Senate, all these other like off-year campaigns to not use the word mass deportations because they were not pursuing that anymore.
Definitely
That's why,
not. Definitely not. The administration
Barney-
messaging, dude.
that's
The
why
White House
Barney
posts edits of ICE every fucking day. What do you mean they're not using mass deportation as rhetoric anymore? They literally post thirst traps of ICE agents every single day. Go check the White House TikTok page.
Yeah,
They're not
I've
toning
seen
the
it.
rhetoric down at all.
That is just like cruel and unusual thing to do because they're not actually deporting the number of people that
They
they're claiming.
definitely are deported. Wait, we've deported more illegals in this administration than any other administration at this point.
Really, I think Obama has.
Nope, we've
Trump.
surpassed Obama.
I don't believe so.
Definitely.
Obama
If
has
you
a-
include self-deportations, we have surpassed Obama.
Yeah, self-deportation. That doesn't count. That's
Wait, hold
fear,
up.
that's not
The
actual.
self-deportations are a program. There is a program that the federal government is enacting that's incentivizing people to leave the country. It's not just because they want to leave the country. It's because we're incentivizing them to leave the country. We're literally paying them to get out, and it's working.
How many illegals? Let's go per capita here. How many illegals were here under Obama?
I
Versus how many-
don't recall millions.
Versus
Probably.
How many he deported? And then we got what? 10,
O-
20 million
Obama
more
deported
during-
millions. Yeah. So at this point in the administration, we have deported more illegal immigrants than Obama had deported at this point in his administration.
Okay, but still, we're talking about per capita here. There was many more illegals. We have at least 40 million illegals to deport. And what are we doing? 300,000 a year? Maybe?
No, way more than 300,000 a year.
No, it's not.
Definitely.
Let
Hold
me
up.
I'll look this up. $1.5.
According to official U.S. Department of Homeland Security figures for 2025, the administration reported more than 605,000 formal deportations with an estimated 1.9 million self-deportations, bringing the combined total to 2.5 million departures. That's in 2025, Trump's first full year as president.
We have how many illegal immigrants here?
We don't know an
how many-
exact number.
How many legal ones do we have that are defrauding all of our programs as well? That should be deported.
I think those people should be deported too, but right now I think they're focused on illegal immigrants. The administration is actively like working to get people to investigate fraud. So that I think like whatever. Like I don't know what you're looking for. The administration is obviously happy that people are investigating fraud. They're obviously convicting and deporting people who commit fraud against the United States of America. What's What's the argument here? It's not the same thing as mass deportations for illegal immigrants.
We have Nick Shirley with a fucking iPhone.
Is it
doing
working?
More than
Is it working?
They're not deporting any of them. They're just
hold up.
arresting them.
That's not
They're
true.
arresting
They're
a little bit of number from
one of them just got convicted for billions in fraud.
one of them.
Do you know how long it takes to prove that somebody's committed fraud? The fact that
We
it
don't
took
need to
this
prove
long
it.
is
They're
incredible.
not. We do not need to prove it. If they're defrauding our government,
Wait,
and they're
yes, you
here
do.
on a
Absolutely,
visa,
you need to prove it. To get a conviction, you have to prove it. You have to prove that somebody is doing something in order to get a conviction. Are you aware that the burden of proof in the United States? Stop 1 second. Are you aware that the burden of proof in the United States is innocent until proven guilty?
I don't give a fuck. They're not part of our country. They are not Americans.
If they're legal immigrants, they are a part of the country.
No,
You need a legal basis for getting rid of them. It's not. There's no legal framework for just deporting them for no reason.
Yes, there is. We've done it many times.
Not when
If
they're
you are
legally here.
on-
No, there's not. Not when they're legally here.
If you are here on a visa, any president can revoke that visa. So why are we not doing that?
You think we should just deport visas for everybody or what?
Yes, I actually do.
Okay, fine.
if
But the
Trump-
administration's not going to do that. So if you want to deport somebody, you don't just say, I think this person might have done fraud, so let me deport them. You actually have to investigate them for fraud.
You don't need to. You can actually revoke the visa.
That you definitely have. You definitely should. Ethically, you definitely should.
Definitely not. If you are suspected of fraud, that means you are at least in proximity to people doing it.
That's
and you should
not necessarily true.
100%.
I've suspected. Hold up. I've suspected people of doing fraud. One second. I have suspected people of doing fraud, and then I've investigated them and found out they're not doing fraud.
Okay, I still think that. Well, like personally, I think they should be deported anyway. But if you are in proximity, if you have government contracts, and you are suspected of doing fraud with those contracts, at the bare minimum,
again, I have literally suspected people of doing fraud for like child cares, and then I've gone and actually found fraud, but I've also gone to the places and found out that they were real operating daycares. Okay, so just because you suspect somebody of doing fraud doesn't mean that it's for good reason or that they should be listen, I generally agree with you. I generally think that most immigrants should be deported and that for the most part we should massively cut down the amount of legal immigrants that we let in. I don't think there should be such a thing as foreign college students. I don't think anyone who's a national of another country should be allowed to go to college in the United States and then take their skills and go back and benefit their country. I largely agree with you, but I think in the framework that we currently exist in, if you're going to take action against somebody, you should be able to prove that they actually did the thing you're taking action for.
I don't know. This guy's saying liberals would never allow that. We have all, to this guy specifically, we have all three branches of government. Why do liberals need to allow this? This has been an active excuse from the Trump administration, especially. Oh, the liberals this, the liberals that. We have all three branches of government.
Not really. The party is extremely divided right now. We hardly have any branches of government. Nothing can get done. We're about to kill the SAVE Act. We're about to kill the only opportunity to make it federally illegal to vote without an ID.
No, they could have passed that. They keep these omnibus
Wait, yeah,
bills.
but do you know why? Hold up. The NDAA is, dude. The NDAA is an appropriations bill. 1 second. Just listen to me. Just 1 second.
I will.
The NDAA is an appropriations bill. It does not include the SAVE Act. The House adopted a rule that said if the NDAA passes, the SAVE Act passes. And that's because the NDAA is more viable than the SAVE Act, meaning it's more likely to get passed. And because that happened, the left twisted the legislation and said, this means that the United States and Israeli militaries are merging, which is obviously a lie. You and I both know it's a lie. You and I both agree that it's not true. But they're doing that so that people won't vote for it. And they're convincing the right wing that they shouldn't vote for the NDAA that has the SAVE Act attached to it, making right-wingers literally pawns because they've turned into conspirators.
Okay, so I largely agree that the NCAA or whatever it's called.
NDAA, National Defense Appropriations.
NDAA is, that's not true. The militaries are not aligning, but the intelligence assets are.
Some of the intelligence assets, which we've done for decades.
Okay.
It's not a merger.
So, yeah, and that's why I say, you know, not much is going to change because of that. And I've been telling my friends this because some of them are, you know, JQers that are, you know, schizo a little bit, I would say.
Yeah, but what I'm telling you is the left knows that it's not a merger, but they're telling everyone it's a merger to freak out people like your friends so that they'll kill the NDAA and kill the SAVE Act.
That's how every bill works, though. That's how every bill, because guess
Not
what?
necessarily.
They'll use one of these pre-voting things. I don't remember the exact name. You know, they have the voting thing, and then the, you know, progression vote of the bill, and they'll add something stupid like that. That's why we just need to pass a single issue.
But the SAVE Act wasn't passing. The SAVE Act wasn't passing on its own. That was the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the
You
right
think
wing is
adding
divided.
something-
So you said this started because you said that we have all three branches of power, but we really don't because every fucking congressman is divided. Like
85% of the entirety of America voters are in agreement of the SAVE Act. So how are we not getting that to pass if it's literally a single
I don't know.
issue
Ask
bill?
Thomas Massey, who's got his thumb up his ass. He's convincing everybody that they shouldn't pass the SAVE Act.
We're really gonna go against Thomas Massey.
Yeah, he's
Like,
actually a retard. Yeah.
man. See, this is why the right wing is going to die. Like this, you are the reason. These Trump people that just defend Trump and no matter what.
I don't defend Trump no matter what. Trump has done things that I disagree with. Trump is only going to be president for a couple more years, then he's out, and it's somebody
Not
new.
you specifically, but to go against Thomas Massey, one of the most like I'm not even really that big of a fan
He's
of
an
him. He's a
idiot.
libertarian.
Yeah, you're
He's
not a libertarian. You're literally not a libertarian.
I'm a nationalist. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm a
I know you're a
nationalist. He's
nationalist.
libertarian. So I don't agree with him on really a lot of things, but he's a very principled man.
No, he's
so
not. He doesn't do research into literally anything that he goes off and supports.
I don't know.
I appreciate Rand Paul a lot more. I actually lost a lot of respect for Ron Paul recently when he said that this was a merger with the Israeli military. But generally, I like Rand Paul a lot better. I am a libertarian for the most part. Most of my views are rooted in like the non-aggression principle. But I think where Thomas Massey has gone is super far away from actual libertarianism. He focuses on wedge issues like Israel and the USS Liberty went and had dinner with all these morons like Phil Turney, and they're literally just liars. Like Phil, you should go watch my debate with Phil. He's a liar. And then Thomas Massey went and had dinner with him and all of the other liars. By the way, not any of the Liberty survivors that don't agree that it was a deliberate attack, just the ones who do.
I don't know, man. This guy says white nationalists that listen to Nick. Nick's not a white nationalist, and I don't listen to him because he is Hispanic, and I am a nationalist.
Well, all right. Well, I appreciate you coming up, man. I think I'm going to bring up somebody else's. I appreciate you coming up, and it was a good conversation.
It was good talking to you, man.
Yeah,
I
you too.
appreciate the back and forth.
Sure. Have a good one. Bye.
Cool.
I think it was a pretty good conversation. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know when I'm live. I'm going to try to go live pretty much every night at 5 p.m. Central Time. So definitely hit the bell notification, subscribe, like the live. Hey, thank you for becoming a member for 2 months, Ed Eagle. And also check out my Amazon wish list if you'd like to support my work, if you like what I'm doing here, if you like my on-the-ground journalism. Go check out the Amazon wish list in the description if you'd like to help me continue building out my studio and my content capabilities. The merger is a lie. What do you have to suggest this? Well, Mason, come on up and have a conversation with me. I've already explained it like 100 times. I'm not going to explain it again unless you're up in the live. Also, I see a lot of people saying I'm a sellout. If anybody thinks that I'm bought by Israel or anyone else, 1 second, or literally anyone else, just 1 second, or literally anyone else, I'll put out a $10,000 reward if anyone can prove that I'm paid by anyone other than Polymarket and my viewers. particularly if you can prove that I'm paid by Israel or Flock or any of these other organizations that everyone claims I'm paid by. How's it
Okay,
going?
so I'm good. There's literally only one thing that I agree with you on this, and is that Islam is evil. I 100% agree with you on that. But like everything else, like I don't, because the only thing that I'm gonna talk about is like, so you like Israel, you support Israel,
I
right?
support
That's
Israel as a United
you.
States ally.
Okay, okay,
How old are you?
dude.
What's your birthday?
I'm not telling you
Okay,
that.
goodbye.
I'm old.
Again, I see people saying I'm a sellout. If you can prove that I'm paid by Israel, I will give you $10,000. $10,000 reward if you can prove that I'm paid by Israel. Sometimes I do brand deals with small companies, but for the most part, all of my revenue comes from one partnership that I have with Polymarket and my viewers. You know, super chats and ad revenue and stuff like that. I'm not paid by anybody for my opinions. I've never been paid by anyone to have or form an opinion. How's it going?
Hey Cam, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. I agree with most of your points. I would just maybe like, what do you think about legal immigration? You know, I think we agree on illegal immigration.
Yeah, I think it should be massively drawn down.
All right, so I'd probably agree there because I don't see the difference of being, you know, like replaced legally or illegally. I feel like you're being replaced by people from a different country either way. You know what I mean? In some aspects, I think legal immigration may even be worse.
To some degree, I might agree with you. I definitely think that we should massively draw down legal immigration. I don't know that we should completely eliminate immigration as a rule, but I think we're full. I don't think we need any new immigrants right now at all.
Yeah, maybe high skilled immigration would be fair.
Yeah, if you're like Elon Musk coming from South Africa, then sure, fine, whatever. But like,
yeah, of course, no one would argue against that.
Yeah, but if you're like some 5 IQ moron from Somalia, yeah, you can stay in your shithole. I don't need you.
Yeah, and then do you see how like I mean I voted for Trump 3 times, but do you see how like his original campaign promises of like draining the swamp and, you know, funding his own campaign, how he's like really shifted from that, and definitely a different, he became more of a typical Republican, I'd say.
Well, this campaign was different than the first campaign for sure. No president achieves 100% of their campaign promises. It's never happened in the history of the United States of America. But also in this administration, we've obviously gotten sidetracked by some other things. But I think he's done a pretty good job at mass deportations. We've deported millions of people. I think that is a pretty good win. We've decreased border crossings by over 90%. That's pretty awesome. So I think we're on the right track for the most part. And this administration is still pretty new. We still have more than 2 years left. So I think we're on the right track.
Yeah, deportations is probably his best, immigrate, like the border and stuff is probably his best area.
Yeah.
Where I'd have the biggest problem is, you know, I know this is a sensitive topic on here. It's probably like the Iran war, the relationship with Israel, you know, the lobbyists. And I know you're a supporter of that. So, I mean, I know I'm the guest, but I'd like to hear why you think like the relationship with Israel benefits America.
Yeah, definitely.
I just have a hard time swallowing that.
Sure. Israel has used their intelligence to stop multiple terrorist attacks in the United States. I believe it was 2011. They stopped a terrorist attack to our diplomatic envoys in Europe. In 2014, their intelligence detected Hezbollah plot to target U.S. embassies in Azerbaijan and Thailand and stopped them. In 2018, they uncovered an Iranian-backed terror plot against the United States diplomatic mission in Europe. They discovered sleeper cells that had planted bombs, and they neutralized those threats. In 2018, they uncovered and dismantled an ISIS plot in Syria to smuggle bombs disguised as laptops onto U.S. planes. They vote with us in UN contested votes 90% of the time. It's more than any other country in the world. They discovered 2 massive oil fields in their coastal waters, the Leviathan and Tamar oil fields, and they gave them to us. They called up a Dallas-Fort Worth-based LNG company, and it was called Noble, which later became Chevron, if I'm not mistaken, and allowed them to harvest all of that oil. They're great economic partners. Lots of the technology that we use in the United States comes from Israel. Google Maps comes from Israel. It was Waze, then Google Maps bought out Waze. Tesla, their cars, and also any car that has any kind of autonomy whatsoever, operates off of Israeli technology. It's called Mobileye. It was then purchased by Intel, and then Intel sold it to the car companies. If you have lane assist in your car, where like if you swerve into the lane, it brings you back into the lane, that's Israeli technology. They weapons test most of our weapons. So the F-15 was first battle tested by Israel. The F-35 Lightning II, which was first battle tested by Israel. Trophy systems for Abrams tanks, those are the things that prevent projectiles like RPGs from hitting the tanks. Those were first battle tested by Israel. Battle testing is the single most important part of the production and development process. After the 9/11 terrorist attack, they sent people to Ground Zero to help with the cleanup and recovery of bodies and survivors. They sent recovery teams after Hurricane Katrina, after the surface condo collapse. They give us all of their, or virtually all of their, tactical map and battle data, which helps us a lot because we're almost always engaged in asymmetric warfare, as are they. And it's a very difficult thing to figure out, especially when the meta keeps changing in asymmetric warfare. And we've been involved in pretty much every war since Vietnam has been an asymmetric battle. So that's very, very important to us. Yeah, I mean, I could go on for quite a while, but I think that Israel's definitely a good ally to the United States. They let us stockpile weapons inside of Israel in case there's ever a conflict that we get into. In the Middle East, we have quick access. They're a great ally.
No, I think you made some great points. So basically, as a whole, they're very strategically beneficial for us for, intelligence, militarily. And I kind of agree with that. Anyone that disagrees with that's, being purposely obtuse. But where our value, not values, but, our ambitions in the Middle East, like, I don't think they align 100%. And when, say they align 80%, I feel like especially politicians, they'll that 20% that doesn't overlap, they won't even choose to own side of their own country.
I totally disagree. When Israel does things that are not in the interest of the United States, or Israelis suggest things that are not in the interest of the United States, I, for one, am more than happy to express my disinterest, distaste, and disagreement with what they're saying. I don't think that criticizing Israel is anti-Semitic. Lots of Jews do. I actively tell them that when they do that and when they say that, they're actively just making more people more anti-Semitic. That's something that I disagree with them on. There was a lot of Israelis during the Biden administration who wanted to end their relationship with America and turn to China because Biden was weighing cutting off all weapons to Israel, which is a fair take. I disagree with them, but I thought they should have weathered the storm. They were actively involved in a war, and the United States, Israel's contractually obligated to buy our fighter jets. So Israel's not allowed to manufacture their own planes. They have to buy them from us legally. And so we were saying, we're not going to give you any more weapons or military vehicles, which would make it impossible for them to obtain them during an active war, like an existential threat in their border, which basically screws them. And so a lot of Israelis, not necessarily in the government, but a lot of Israelis around the country they were like, we should cooperate with China and do defense deals with China because America does not have our back right now and it's being run by a bunch of morons. And that's a fair take. They're Israeli and they're Israel first in the same way that we're America first because they're Israelis and we're Americans. But I think that weathering the storm worked out, and I'm glad it did. So I disagree with Israelis sometimes, and I'm more than welcome to express. I actually literally got in an argument with the Prime Minister of Israel. So when I have disagreements with Israelis, I'm not afraid to voice them. I got in like a 15-minute argument with Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, I wasn't specifically talking about you. I was talking about like American figures like Mike Huckabee and like guys like that are just like so blatantly like pro-Israel that it like almost questions like their loyalty. You know what I mean?
I actually think I don't think so. Mike Huckabee is a patriot. He loves the United States of America. His views on Israel are largely pretty similar to mine. His might be a little bit more religious, but when I talked to Mike Huckabee, he wasn't like going on about religion. It was weird. When I talked to Mike Huckabee, he was listing the reasons to the group I was with for why you should support Israel. And they were like the exact same reasons that I would have listed, almost exactly in the same order that I would have listed them. It was insane. I think Mike Huckabee is pretty good.
Well, you listed intelligence and military benefits, and I could get behind that. like where Mike Huckabee goes with like religion and like we have a moral duty. Like I don't think like we have a moral duty to protect anyone.
I agree with you.
Get what I'm saying? Yeah.
I agree
Like,
with you.
you
But
get-
we have our government has a moral duty to protect Americans. But
Yeah.
I agree that boomers should tone down the religious rhetoric because it doesn't
Yeah.
work. It's
Yeah.
not effective. Instead, this is what I always tell people, and I think I told BB this as well. Nobody wants to hear the Judeo-Christian thing. I actually agree with the Judeo-Christian thing, but it doesn't matter if I agree with it. What matters is
Yeah.
what matters to other people. And other people don't care about Judeo-Christian. It's dead. Nobody gives a shit about it. And we're not bringing it back. There's no resurrection for Judeo-Christian values. It's done. What young people want to hear is quid pro quo. Quid pro quo. What does Israel do for the United States? These people are America first, as am I. And they want to know, what does Israel do for the United States that justifies our relationship with them? That's what they want to know. And that's what needs to be listed. We've got the information, but nobody uses it for some reason. And that's the biggest
Yeah, like
problem.
the way you listed is much more persuasive than the Judeo-Christian.
I agree with you. That's what I keep trying to tell them.
And then one last thing, how do you think like the Iran war? How do you want to see that finished? Because you look at what we did in Iraq, Libya. If we just topple them, bomb them, like some people, like the hardcore neocons are asking for, it's going to create a huge power vacuum, and there's definitely going to be some Islamist group that has some type of power still there.
Well, I'd rather have some like rinky-dink hick Islamist group having power than a really big Islamist group that's trying to build nukes. So like like nobody's heard anything out of Libya in over a decade. Why? Because they don't have a functioning government. It's like hardly even a state. Same thing out of almost the same thing out of Iraq. Iraq has a security force, but it's mostly because we help them. Iraq is not a serious threat to any country, really. Any country that we care about, at least. They might have at some point some regional conflicts with some other rinky-dink shitty Arab country, but they're not a threat to us.
I'm just saying that war in general wasn't really a big positive. Same with Libya. I mean, ISIS came from Libya.
Sure, I'm not as familiar with like all of the specifics of what happened in Libya, but what I will say is I would rather have a power vacuum with terrorist groups fighting each other for power than I would have a unified Shia Islamist group controlling the government of a powerful country in Iran and developing nuclear weapons and constantly threatening their allies.
So you'd like regime change in Iran?
Ideally, I'd love a regime change in Iran. I don't think that means we should put boots on the ground. I don't think we should ever put boots on the ground in Iran unless they develop the nuke and we're threatening to use it against us. But I think we're perfectly capable of decimating them from the air and from the ocean. But I definitely, obviously, I would prefer pretty much anything to the current regime.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the points where like our goals and Israel goals are like, because Israel needs regime change no matter what. That's their goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We would accept a deal, and you saw when the MOU came out, even though it was like basically a complete stand down from us and a complete loss. It wouldn't have been the worst situation for us, but
it is
for Israel.
Yeah,
for Israel, it's everything.
Yeah.
So
that's also what I think is interesting when people say that like Israel dragged us into the Iran war, is that Trump came out and said that he actually had to convince Netanyahu to go to war with Iran, which makes total sense because who's actually in the crosshairs in this war? It's actually not us, because Iran doesn't possess missiles that are capable of striking us. They do possess missiles that are capable of striking Israel, and they use them.
Yeah. Someone in the comments said Israel doesn't need regime change. They need the uranium out. I mean, I disagree. I think the ballistic missiles are a huge problem for Israel.
And the Shahada drones.
Yeah.
Probably less drones, but ballistic missiles are definitely a huge problem. But here's the other thing that's the problem with Iran is that Iran, before like 2024, 2025, Iran didn't engage in a lot of direct military conflict. Instead, they paid proxies to engage in direct military conflict for them. But they wouldn't; those proxies wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for Iran directing them to do it. So
And
they were
funding them, yeah.
they were slaughtering our soldiers, like American soldiers. They were slaughtering Israelis. They were burning northern Israel and destroying them. That power, the capability of Iran to effectively control a web of proxies around the Middle East is effectively decimated.
Well, they still have those. The problem is if they control the strait, like that's why we can't leave. Because if they control the strait, they have a deterrence as long as they hold it. Every time we go back there, they shut down 20% of the world's oil supply.
Sure, we don't, but we don't need to, like, they're going to open it when we leave. We don't need to keep going back there as long as we go in and teach them the lesson and they stop doing. Because here's the problem: is like, have you ever trained a puppy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I just got a puppy and I'm training one right now. It's like puppies will do whatever you tolerate them doing, right? And they'll constantly test you. Like they'll do shit just to see if they can get away with it. Yeah. In the Middle East, it's the exact same way. That's exactly how those countries operate. If they strike you or they send an intelligence asset to kill your president, you don't do anything about it, they're going to do it again. They're just like puppies. You have to teach them right from wrong. And you have to do that by killing their people in their military. If you don't, they will continue to do it.
And you're talking about like in regards to like striking the strait, or just
no. I'm talking in regards to striking Iran. Like if they do something bad, you need to put them in their place and show them they're not going to get away with it. Otherwise, they'll view you as weak, and they'll keep doing it. Just the same way a puppy will view you as weak and keep doing it.
Yeah, I just think that's kind of like the dilemma we're in. Like they're gonna strike the strait as long, until they can, like, until we leave, basically. And then say we pull out with no deal or no nothing, we basically give them the strait, and then they have.
Oh, they had the strait before. It doesn't really matter as long as the strait's open. It doesn't matter, right? But I guess part of the goal at this point should be like making it impossible for them to effectively control it over the Gulf states. But that wasn't the goal when we went in. It's just a side goal now because they're exerting authority over the straits. But they don't have much of a functioning military left. Now they have a lot of Shahada drones and they have a lot of like waterborne drones, but like eventually that will be exhausted. We've destroyed a lot of their factories. Their ballistic missile capabilities are down like 90%. They hardly have a functioning government and functioning military. Their people are severely demoralized, and like the goal going in was to punish them for developing nukes, sending an asset to kill the president, and continuing to kill our soldiers. And I think we made that very clear. Now it's just a fight over the strait, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to see how we get out of it, but I think I'm all out of points, Cam.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. All right, guys. Well, we've been live for an hour and a half, or sorry, two and a half hours. Should I keep going, guys, or should I stop? What do we think? Keep going or stop? I think I got to go to the store in a little bit before it closes. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys coming and watching, and the 419 to 600 people who have been watching on YouTube, and the 120 people who have been watching on TikTok. I appreciate you all. Looks like we got about 3,000 people on Twitter. I appreciate you all watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, follow. Hit the bell notification so you know when I'm live. Again, I'm going to try to go live every night at 5 p.m., assuming I'm not traveling. Also, make sure to check out my Amazon wishlist in the description below if you'd like to help and support my channel. There are only things in there related to content creation, so everything that's in the Amazon wishlist will help me continue to create good content. So I appreciate it very much if anybody would like to contribute to that. BP for America helped me build this studio by contributing to my Amazon wishlist, so I very much appreciate him. My Cashapp, PayPal, and Venmo are also down there in the description. I appreciate you guys very much. If you have any tips about fraud or leftist networks, make sure to hit me up on my DMs on X, Instagram, or even TikTok if you've got something that you think I should investigate. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.